The Warwickshire second innings, please welcome back to the field wearing number 48, Tom Latham.
So welcome back to Hove, where we have got some cricket, which is good news. The players leaving the field after just 6.3 overs, and we've lost 17 overs in the day because of that rain delay. So we'll be getting back underway anytime soon. Mike Taylor from BBC WM is with me. 17 overs lost.
Yes.
And that makes the chances of a result here diminish still further, really, Mike. 72.3 overs left. There's still a chance if Sussex can pick up some quick wickets here.
Yes, and it's possible sometimes when you've had rain, it freshens the conditions up. Maybe juices the pitch up a little bit. I don't know. I do wonder whether. I don't want to say the ground staff were caught out because it sounds like I'm criticising them. I'm not at all, because I think we were all caught out by the way that rain came on, and they had to get on with it in a hurry.
Ollie Robinson comes in to start proceedings after the delay. We went off with Ollie Robinson bowling his over. He's got 3 more balls to bowl in this over. The one where they went off was a short one, and that's also a short delivery. Sorry, mate.
Yes, I mean they came on. They put the sort of little roll cover on that went right on top of the wicket, and then the flat covers over it. But I think we all thought it was going to be sort of blow through quite quickly.
Yes.
So the sort of the roll-on covers never got on. But because they'd already covered it up, which was fair enough.
Robinson in bowls to Latham, who pulls and gets a single to deep backward square leg, who is Tom Clark. The leg side trap is set for Tom Latham.
Yes. So you could imagine, again, I don't know enough about it, you could imagine that when that happens, then it suddenly did rain a bit more.
Yes.
That might get not moisture under the covers, but it might just put moisture in the area. However, it stopped raining, and then we had 40 minutes lunch break. So if there was any moisture, it's probably gone anyway. Even if there was, which there probably wasn't. But I did feel a bit for the ground staff, because it's really difficult to guess what's going on. I mean, I'm sure they've got rain radars and all that, and then you can look at 2 different ones, and are they the same, and is it coming here, and how precise is it? So I bet you probably trust your instincts as much as anything else.
No.
They know the local conditions probably better than anybody.
Robinson in bowls to Davies, who sways out the way. The ball goes through to John Simpson, and there is no run. Oh, what's going on there? Something been said? Or
If he might have signalled no ball, because otherwise,
I think
that was the last ball of the over. Otherwise, yeah.
I think he has signalled no ball. I think Ollie Robinson is asking why is it. I think he's just querying. There's not 3 men behind.
Could have been 3 behind square.
Yeah, I think
we were discussing this yesterday a bit, as it happens.
I wonder if that was because Ollie Robinson was clearly surprised. I mean, that would be square leg umpire's call, I guess.
Yes, and well, I was seeing the replay. So the standing umpire.
Robinson bowls, wide of the off stump, the ball dribbles through to Simpson. There is no run.
Well, you should never look at the screen when the game's on. On the replay, you could see the standing umpire, I think he's now David Milnes, looked across to the other umpire and nodded, and then gave the signal. So I think the umpires had spotted there was a possibility of the third fielder going behind square. We had an email about this yesterday, asking the leg side fielder. I think those on the screen watching it again, you just see the umpire there just looks across. The square umpire was standing at point on the offside, presumably in order to see exactly that.
Yes.
Because they'd got a backward short leg, a man at square leg on the boundary, and a long leg, and presumably one must have just gone behind the line. So that was a very good, a very alert piece of umpiring, and you'd expect nothing less from experienced officials like that. So, yes, that's, I think, the reason. That's how you do umpiring. See, it's all done on a nod and a wink. A little subtle nod, and they knew what they were doing. Jack Carston's going to bowl for the first time today from the CN, and he takes Latham on the pad, and there's no run.
This is going to be a long session because tea today is at 20 to 4 regardless. So we're in for 2.5 hours of cricket here if the weather holds. And by tea we'll have a very good idea of whether there is any mileage left in the game.
We will. Forward comes Latham and defends the next ball out into the offside. So Carson bowled 7 overs last night, no wicket for 20. And the sky is quite a bit lighter now than it was when we were playing just before the rain earlier.
Yes.
Carson around the wicket, and this is flicked by Latham, who was on the move, down to mid-on, and they get 1. So Latham up to 31. And it is 112 for 1, so Warwickshire 6 runs behind. Alex Davis was keen to drive Sandhu before the rain and top-edged the pull over the wicketkeeper's head against Ollie Robinson, so was keen to try and play in his usual attacking way, but he defends the first ball he gets from Carson in this spell. Ibrahim moves out from short leg and just changes his position slightly. He's a little in front of square. There is a man on the sweep at 45 degrees behind square. Davis is not thinking of that. He's just tapping the ball away. The loud clapping you can hear from this end of the ground is from Gurinder Sandhu. We saw the other day, has big echoey hands. When he's clapping and getting the team going, you can hear it rattling around the ground. This is floated right up by Carson and pushed through the covers for 1 run by Davis, who will keep the strike at the end of the over. 113 for 1, and Davis up to 58.
I was looking at the went over to get some lunch. Mike had a test match on. Beautiful day up in Birmingham, in your neck of the woods.
It always is.
It's a lovely day.
Yes.
India 98 for 2 in the test match, a wicket for Chris Wokes. He would have enjoyed that on his home ground, and Bryden Cast. Now we're going to get spin at both ends here, I think.
Yes. I think that you would imagine there might be more assistance for spin than seam today. We'll see.
Yeah.
So Coles had 1 over last night, so he's going to have a go. Yes, I gather it's still quite pretty warm up in Birmingham too. So yeah, it's just, I think the gardeners there would tell you it hasn't rained since about 1983.
Yeah. A slip and a leg slip are the close fielders for James Coles. 3 men saving 1 on the offside. Sweeper on the cover boundary, mid-on, long on I should say, mid-wicket, deep backwards square leg as Coles with his left arm spin around the wicket. Bowls and driven by Davis to short extra cover, fielded there by the ever alert Tom Clark, and there is no run. The arrears are now just 5 runs for Warwickshire. Coles in again, bowl. Davis is forward, plays into the offside. Again there is no run. So Warwickshire far from out the woods here, but 70 overs left. Plenty of time for Sussex to get wickets. Coles in again, bowls. Oh, Davies is on his way. Is he caught at first slip? He is caught. He's caught at first slip, and James Coles gets a wicket in his first over from the Cromwell Road end. Nick taken low down at first slip.
It's a sharp catch by Haynes.
Very sharp catch by Tom Haynes, who caught a good catch in the first innings at leg slip. But now he's picked up another, so that's just what Sussex needed. Just see this again on the replay. Oh, I don't know if that turned, but it was...
Yeah, I think it did turn. Davies is pretty cross with himself.
He is.
But he bit and turned because his action takes him quite wide on the crease, Coles. So that's pitched and straightened from just around the line of off stump. And Davies was quite cross with himself. I'm not sure it was the neatest defensive push he's ever had. He got to turn round a bit, but I think it was a pretty good ball. That's the spot he's looking for.
Yes, it is. So good bowling change from John Simpson brings immediate rewards, and thank you, Mike, for getting me out of jail there with the catch. Yes, you did, because I was slightly playing for time by saying it was a good catch, because usually in the first slip position will be Tom Alsop, who isn't playing in this game, or Tom Clark. Well, I knew it wasn't Tom Clark because he'd fielded the previous ball at short extra cover. So you spotted it was Tom Haynes, so thank you.
You and I have done enough filling during football commentaries to know that You don't ever want to put the wrong name on the goal scorer. So you go on about how important the goal is, and it's going to be a vital goal in keeping them up, and it's only September, and you give it all this waffle. So yes, game recognises game, as I think the kids say.
So Sam Hain is the next man in, who batted beautifully in the first innings. Interesting chat about Sam Hain when Mark Robinson came up here on Tuesday and was speaking about some of the Warwickshire boys who he keeps in close contact with. I was pleased to see them this week. As in comes the Coles, bowls, and Hain drives down the ground to long on as immediately on his way with the single. The arrears get reduced to 4.
Half centuries in each of his last 5 championship innings. In fact, he's got started nearly every time. Only one single figure score in 14 championship innings this season, Sam Hain. Without going on to make 100.
Interesting. Coles is going to come over the wicket to the left-handed Tom Latham. Just the one slip in place now on a short leg. Coles is in. Bowls, and Latham with a wristily plays onto the onside, fielded by Clark. There is no run. Just 1 run off the over, but the important wicket of Alex Davies. There's still life in this game. Coles in again. Bowles gives that plenty of air, and Latham is very cautiously forward, plays down the offside of the track. There is no run. End of the over. So James Coles, 8 overs and 1 maiden, no wicket for 22. He's picked up a wicket in his first over of the day. Warwickshire 114 for 2 here on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC WM. Adrian Hums, Mike Taylor, your commentary team here. The arrears are now just 4, so effectively Warwickshire are -4 for 2, if that makes any sense.
Just seen a replay again of that wicket. That was a nicely flighted delivery from Coles, whose record this season is rather better than just a part-time spinner.
Yes.
He equates roughly to Rob Yates in the Warwickshire team. They're a similar record so far this season. And a handy additional spinning option. So it might be that Carson and Coles are going to carry on a bit. Here, Carson, with the first ball of a new over, has Hain on the shuffle to push the ball along the ground to long on and score another single. He does move a lot these days, Sam Hain. Not always too aggressive. Normally when you think about somebody advancing down the pitch, you think they're going to try and hit aggressively over the top. It's not always that. Latham sweeps, and he goes very fine. If he's made any contact at all, it's gone down the leg side for 4. Or no, not quite. It's just pulled in inside the rope. It slowed up there. So Hain is running back to make 3. It's 3 somethings. 3 runs.
3 runs, yes they were.
So he swept it very fine. Let's see if the replay shows us where exactly. It was well wide of leg stump. Oh gosh, he nearly dragged it back onto the stumps.
He nearly did, didn't he?
It was a stump and a half wide down the leg side, and Latham almost managed to wrap it himself in a knot and sweep it all the way back round onto the leg stump. Goodness, that was dangerous. He scores 3 though, and now Hain goes back in the crease, stands on one leg for a moment and turns it to square leg for a fairly short single. So Hain is away with 3, and he's already in 2020 mode, in the sense that he is an expert picker-up of singles in one-day cricket and limited overs cricket. Carson draws Latham forward. One of the reasons Hain has such an exceptional record, especially in 50-over cricket, where his record's astonishing, is that he, even when he's not trying to hit big boundaries, and he hits plenty of those, he very seldom, once he gets in, misses out on scoring. He scores off nearly every ball. Carson bowls, and this is cut through point for a run out to Crocombe near the boundary by Latham. So you get, with Sam Hain, you'll get a run of 20 or 25 balls in most of his T20 innings without a dot ball. So he's an expert strike rotator. He's 3 off 3 today. Carson bowls, but that little run breaks as he chooses to defend a ball that was turning, and he examined it very closely as it turned across him and played it into the ground, and it's the end of the over. 6 runs picked up in that over, in which Warwickshire went into the lead. They're 2 runs ahead at 120 for 2.
Yes. Obviously, I wasn't here yesterday, Mike, so it's very difficult for me to make any judgment. But someone came up to me in the pavilion at lunchtime and was just saying, did Sussex miss a trick yesterday at all in terms of putting the foot to the floor and maybe trying to score runs more quickly? I mean, I don't know because I wasn't here.
Yes.
In comes Coles, bowls to Latham, takes a step down the wicket and plays through mid-wicket and picks up a single. He goes to 36, the total to 121 for 2, leading by 3.
We had some correspondence about that. People saying that they really should have pressed on with it a bit quicker. And, maybe.
Coles in again, bowls and defending is Hain down the offside of the track, no run.
My suggestion was it depends what level of risk you're prepared to accept. So the answer was not a very high level of risk.
Coles in again, bowls, Hain and forward, plays down the offside of the track, no run.
So from 340 for 3 as they were at one stage, they could have said, right, let's see if we can throw the bat and score 600 by tee and be 200 in front. But that would have come with a greater element of risk.
Yep. Coles, Hain, forward cautiously. Coles fields of his own bowling, no run.
It was a quicker delivery.
Yes, it was a
Coles
quicker delivery.
Slung it a bit.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, it's been picked up. Here's an email here from Steve, who's a Sussex fan in Berkshire, who asked the question.
Yeah, and it's a reasonable question.
Coles in again, defended by Hain. Down the offside of the track, there is no run.
Because let's imagine they'd done that at 343 and said, right, we think we can score at 6 and over now. Let's do that, and then we'll be 600 before tea.
Coles in again, bowls. Hain plays into the offside, followed by Clark. No run. Nice and tidy from James Coles, but very confidently played by Sam Hain, who's on 3. Warwickshire 121 for 2, lead by 3.
Yeah, decent over there. So yes, they could have done that, but there would have been a greater risk of being all out for 400, losing wickets, and then you're all square with 4 sessions to go, and maybe you get it's in the balance then. It's even the chances out. So, looking at the relative places in the table, how much do we want to risk it, and maybe open the door for Warwickshire? Carson bowls, and this is defended back up the pitch.
And also that could have led to the equation, Mike, whereby Sussex might have ended up batting last on the pitch.
Right,
if it is turning, they might have thought, actually, we don't want to be doing that.
We could be left 50 overs, 250 behind,
Yeah.
and against Rocky Choli turning it all over the place.
Yes.
So that could have been tricky. Carson is bowling to Latham, who is stroking this away, and a misfield by Hughes. He's going to cost, effectively 3 runs, because they would have taken a long single, and as it is, they get 4.
Yeah, he's disappointed about that. Is Daniel, who sets himself very high standards, and I think he knows he should have stopped that, really. He held his hands up to Jack Carson and said, sorry about that.
Yeah, having scored 151, he's probably in credit, but
Yes, I think
all
he
the
is.
same.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do that. So Latham's up to 40, and Carson's round the wicket to him again, and Latham plays this late, but with a satisfying clunk, hits it square out to Crocombe at the point, and they take 1. So the acceptable level of risk was to sort of play steadily and be all out 120 in front just after tea. So, which is still, a position from which they could have fashioned a win, and who's to say they won't? Carson bowls, and Hain turns this into the ground, and there isn't a run. I mean, having lost effectively an hour today to the weather, that chance has been reduced still further. But
Yes.
that's how I would sort of value it. Hain's going to get a run here, going right back and turning this away through square leg. So, yeah, it depends. Look, if they'd have gone for it and it had come off, and they'd have scored 600 by tea, and then Warwickshire are batting again 200 behind with 4 sessions left in the game, then yeah. But what are the chances of, what are the relative chances of that happening compared to collapsing in the attempt? That's, I think, the judgment made. Carson finds the edge of Latham's bat here, but it's a very soft edge,
Yes.
and the ball falls short of slip, and it's the end of the over. Again, the spin bowlers are just in the market here for the odd edge. There are 2 slips waiting, but it went very, very low and didn't carry to Coles.
Stephen also makes a point in his email, thank you for it, Sussex Sport at bbc.co.uk. He talks about the T20 team and says, why is Tom Haines no longer in it? Well, to be honest, Steve, he's never really been in the T20 side. He's played the odd game, Tom Haines. I mean, I could look up his record, but he's played very, very little T20 cricket. He says, I went to the Oval a couple of weeks ago. We were in desperate need of an opener, and Tom Haines would have been perfect. In comes Coles, Bowles and steered down the onside of the track by Hain. There is no run, but I think that Tom Haines has said that he would like to play T20 cricket, but the way that at the moment he's certainly not part of. That could change with Harrison Ward out of the side if he indeed is injured for a long period of time, as Hain plays that through the covers and picks up a single. He goes to 6 and Warwickshire to 120. Sorry, he goes to 5 and the total to 1. I think there's 128 for 2, leading by 10.
That's right.
Coles again in Bowles, and Latham plays to short leg, fielded there by Ibrahim, and there is no run. George Garton's coming to have a natter to us at 2 o'clock for 20 minutes or so Mike and I will share the duties and we can chat about our relative counties, as in comes Coles, Bowles, and played wristily by Latham to mid-on. There is no run, and I know, Andrew, you've sent me an email which I'll ask George the question, asking whether he now sees himself as a white ball player only, and whether red ball is not something he's going to be playing much. In comes Coles, Bowles, and played it into the offside by Latham, and there is no run. Andy Beale has joined the debate about scoring quickly. Coles again over the wicket, Bowles, and Latham turns to Ibrahim at short leg. James Coles does rattle through his overs, just the 1 run off of it. 10 overs, 1 maiden, 0 for 34. Warwickshire 128 for 2, Latham 41. Hain is on 5. Andy says it's risk you don't have to take, though. If we batted until the end of the day for 650, there is huge pressure on Warwickshire. All you achieve is opening the game up for them. It's pointless. Negative field placement made it hard to do as well.
Yeah. As it happens, I think that's probably where they were aiming for. But of course, 4 wickets fell in a clatter after tea. But I suspect they probably were trying to see if they could bat and get to 600, and maybe they'd have had half an hour at Warwickshire before the close last night. Remember, it was 5:10 for 6, I think, at tea last night. So at that point, that maybe they were thinking of exactly that, and then suddenly
you lose a clatter of wickets.
Yeah. So there you go.
Game changes. We will have an update soon, Mike, but not just yet. So
okay.
you carry on.
The overs aren't taking long at the moment. So Carson is going to start his 4th over since the resumption, and Hain turns this first delivery wristily into the leg side, and he doesn't get a run. So he stays 5. And Warwickshire 10 runs in front. Slip and a leg slip are close in. Again, the square leg umpire has gone across, David Milnes, he's gone across to cover point just to see where everybody is. He's not avoiding the sun today, that's for sure. And the next one is he's on the flick drive by Hain to mid-wicket. Having said that, there are actually some shadows now suddenly being cast. And it's brightening up. There's even a couple of tiny patches of blue sky visible. This one turns quite a bit, and Hain goes with it on the move, playing it always defensively, but he ends up about 4 paces off the pitch. He does walk about a lot now during his innings, Sam Hain. Stands still as the bowler approaches, and then he is planting his front foot forward, and that one also turned, and he's just indicating there Sam Hain with his hand. I don't know whether he was indicating to Tom Latham or to himself that maybe the wave of his hand implied there was a bit of overspin on that, and it scuttled through a bit. So Carson finding some variation. This is Fuller, and Hain steps out to it and plays it wristily up to Sandhu, at long on. They do get a run, so Hain goes to 6. And the left-hander, Latham, off spinner, should naturally challenge his outside edge. The sun is breaking through now. And picking out Carson, who bowls on about the line of leg stump, and Latham's ready for it to turn and defends it into the leg side, and it's the end of an interesting over from Carson, who is starting to move the ball, and I would suggest in that over he found the ball spinning a little bit more quickly than it did for Rocky Chola yesterday. Certainly that one where that Hain played late and gestured afterwards. The way he waved his hands at Latham just gave the impression he was trying to say it's almost overspin
Yes.
and spat a little bit. So there is a little bit happening.
James Coles is going to carry on bowling his left arm spin from the Cromwell Road end of the ground. I'll just read a couple of emails when we get a chance through the over, as in comes Coles bowls and forward comes Hain, plays down the offside of the track, no run. Steve Oxford's been in touch. Hi Steve, hope you're okay today. He says the last 2 games, including this one, I've been a bit confused. He's been referring to Brenda, who brings out the balls, as Brenda Toppin, not Brenda Lowers, and I've got that completely wrong. As in comes Coles bowls, Hain turns it to mid-wicket and there is no run. It is indeed Brenda Lower. I don't know why I've been calling her Brenda Toppin. I think we might have another correspondent. So you're quite right, Steve. I am wrong. And thank you for pointing out the error. Good to hear from you today. Craig has been in touch, who got in touch on the first day, brought his daughter to the game. Yes, we're back on playing here at Hove, which is good news after a delay this morning. Well, we only had 6.3 overs because of rain and bad light, but we are playing again now, and Warwickshire have lost a wicket. They're 130 for 2. The man out is the skipper Alex Davies, who was caught by Tom Haines at slip of the bowling of James Coles in his first over. The draw very much still the likely result here, but Sussex battling away. The lead for Warwickshire is just 12 runs. Meanwhile, at the Oval, again it looks to be heading for a draw. Durham are 27 without loss in their second innings, still trailing Surrey by 431. In the Test match at Edgbaston, India batting first against England have reached lunch on 98 for 2. No, if you could leave us dialed up, please, Mandy, that'll be great. In comes Coles, bowls, and forward comes Latham, plays down the onside of the track, and there is no run. Is the end of another James Coles over? He's bowled 5 overs, no maidens. Hang on.
Yes,
1 for 5.
Single in each over.
Yeah.
Craig was the chap who brought his daughter the other day.
Yes, it was.
You were about to say before
Yes.
that all day.
Yes, and I apologise profusely. I'm not on the. I was talking about Jack, reading out the figures earlier on for James Coles, and I'm sure I read out Jack Carson's figures, so I'm sorry if I'm going slightly bonkers. 5 overs, no maidens, 1 for 5 for James
right.
Coles.
Bowling very steadily from that end. And Carson, 11 overs, 4 of them today. No wicket for 35 in all. But he's looking as though he's finding some assistance. There's a slip and a leg slip and a short leg now. See if you can find that overspin again in this over. The hurried Hain in the last over. This one takes the front pad. Carson pulls out of the appeal as everybody else goes up and then joins back into it. It did turn and he maybe hit the back pad, I think probably outside the line of off stump. But Hain is watching very carefully at the moment because Carson is starting to make the ball spin. And this one is turning down the leg side. Hain moves with it and then lifts his hands out of the way and allows it to pass. So there's a mid-wicket and a square leg as well as the close fielders. Long on, he's about 3/4 of the way back. Now this turns and Hain plays it pointing straight down the pitch but with his straight bat and turns it into the leg side and then practices a slow motion wristy flick, which looks an altogether more risky stroke than the one he actually played. 130 for 2. this is pushed through a bit quicker by Carson, and Hain stands up straight to defend. Corey Rothesay was explaining to me yesterday, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, he said that he feels where the rough has occurred, and he commended Sussex actually for the way the pitch was. He said they've allowed it so that it's got a bit of rough in it. He said it's good for us. Carson bowls and Hain is stepping forward. He said I like the pitch. He said it's starting to wear. He said that but I thought it was interesting the way he phrased it. He said Sussex have been really good. They've allowed it to be a pitch that will rough up. I thought that was quite an interesting way to put it. So I think it's been a good pitch for cricket actually. Carson bowls again, fuller, and Hain's going to deny him a maiden by playing that wristy on drive up to long on, and he takes one, and it's 131 for 2. But he said for my height and where I make the ball bounce, he said I'm not really finding the rough as much as say Carson is for them.
Yes.
He said Carson is obviously he's a slightly different build. He's got a different release point. All that. He said so the rough is where the rough is happening. He said I think he's probably slightly more where he is looking to land the ball than where I am looking to land the ball.
Interesting.
And I got the impression. One of his teammates told me this all day. He said he will talk to you about off spin all day. And I think he would.
In comes Coles, bowls to Hain, who wristily plays through square leg, picks up a single. He goes to 9, the total to 132 for 2. I was just watching on the screen the Sussex ground staff dismantling a gazebo at the farm end. How many people does it take to take down a gazebo? Well, it took 4 ground staff. So they've done a good job, and it's down now, so well done, fellas.
They did it very carefully.
They did do it very
like
carefully.
Sort of in a ritualistic way of doing it.
Yeah. Coles in bowls. Latham punches through the offside. He's getting a boundary here is Tom Latham. That's nicely placed through the covers for 4 runs. Nicely timed by the New Zealander, who goes to 45. It was just beautifully timed.
It was a good stroke.
136 for 2. I'll read Craig's email at the end of the over because James Cole does rattle through his overs. It was Craig who bought his daughter the other day. Coles in again, bowls, and Latham plays down the onside of the track. There is no run. James Cole's picking up a wicket in his first over today. Coming on for Ollie Robinson since lunch from Wall Road end. He's in and bowls and turned by Latham to backward square leg, fielded there by Carson. And there is no run. Still 62 overs left in the day. Coles in again, bowls and played onto the onside by Latham, and there is no run. Sussex are going to have to, if they're going to get these wickets, they're going to have to do it with this current Kookaburra ball, because there's not a new ball due for another 39 overs, and by then you'd think Warwickshire will probably be safe enough. Coles in again, that's a little low, and played by Latham to short leg, fielded there by Daniel Ibrahim. There is no run, so Sussex are rattling through the overs. Their over rate is actually showing as -2 or -3 on the score?
-3.
Yeah, which could be another reason why the spinners are bowling, because Sussex won't want to give away any of these hard-earned points in terms of slow over rates. Craig says, following on from your talk about Rocky Choli, I was in the crowd yesterday afternoon and he seemed an outstanding chap. He was chatting to members of the crowd, seemed to be enjoying his cricket, and the crowd was showing him plenty of appreciation too. First time seeing him, I was impressed by both a bowler and a human being.
Yeah, I think that's generally the feeling of everybody who's met him so far. Forward comes Hain to defend the first ball of a new over from Carson. Yes, he said he'd been chatting with people. He said I think I had an argument with somebody about the Kookaburra ball, but he told me he enjoyed that. You can find that interview online if you want to look after we finished. This is turned away backward of square leg for 1 run by Hain, so he goes to 10, and it's 137 for 2. It's on if you look on BBC Sounds or on the BBC Radio WM online, you'll find that interview. But yeah, he said how much he'd enjoyed chatting to people. He said it's not like that when we play in Australia. He said there's not so many people who. He said put it this way. He said there's a lot of people here who clearly know the game, and I've had fun talking to them. So that's good. This is played away through mid-wicket, and a good stop with his foot on the boundary. Who's that running around the boundary? I think it's Hudson Prentice.
Yes, it is. Haven't seen much of Finn today, have we? He hasn't bowled.
No, he only bowled 9 overs in the first innings, I think. So he's keeping a low profile. He batted in rather a low profile way yesterday by his standards. Very perfectly well for 45. Round the wicket comes Carson, and Latham defends. But I think we were talking about whether Sussex could have attacked more. And they could have, but it would have been you'd have been looking to Hudson Prentice, I think, to do that. And it was quite striking that he really played carefully for 45 to make sure that they would have a decent lead, rather than necessarily rush to go for a really big lead. This is steered away by Latham through extra cover. He's going to get 1 out to Crocombe. So that was interesting, because Hudson Prentice is a good striker of the cricket ball.
He is.
And he was watchful by his own standards yesterday. 140 for 2. Hain is being watchful himself at the moment, particularly watching Carson, and he plays Carson's next off break into the ground to short leg, and it's the end of the over. 6 runs picked up in that one. So Warwickshire building a lead. They're 22 runs in front at 140 for 2. Latham's share of that is now 48, and Hain is on 10.
And you're listening to live cricket on the BBC Radio Sussex, BBC WM. Adrian Harms, Mike Taylor, and a nice email from David Sharp, who was full of praise for your commentary yesterday over in Marbella. He's listening in 35 degrees of heat.
Today, I wish I was commentating in Marbella. So,
yes.
Not that Hove isn't lovely, although it wasn't very lovely about an hour ago.
Well, thank you, David. Good to hear from you. And yes, I enjoyed myself yesterday. I got a ticket in the ballot. I had a very nice day at in SW19, and we were in the shade, which was even better.
There was a nasty rumour going around here that you were in court number 1.
Oh, what?
Yes. Because you walk past this building just on the corner, don't you? On the way in, court number 1. So where's Adrian? I said, he's in court number 1. So your friend looks a bit worried. I said, what has he done?
Tom Haines is into the attack for the first time today. Comes in and bowls to Tom Latham, who drills the ball down the ground, no run. So John Simpson is trying everything he can here. Tom Haines, who buys... He's got a knack, Tom Haines. I often compare him, show my age now, to someone like Greg Chappell.
Yes.
You've got a partnership and you need it broken, so you bring on Greg Chappell. Tom Haines is a bit like that. He nibbles away, he doesn't give the batsman any time. Round the wicket in and bowls, and Latham clips firmly through mid-wicket, picks up a single, does Latham. He goes to within 1 of his half-century. 141 for 2. The important figure is the lead, which is now 23. This is why I'm sure Warwickshire will still want to be positive here, because clearly the more runs they get, if it does come down to some sort of a thrash at the end where Sussex get a load of wickets and then they need a certain amount of runs in a few overs, the more they need, the more difficult it's going to be, clearly, as Haines is in bowls and Hainer is forward. Haines to Hain.
This is quite striking, actually. They've gone to Haines, who is bowling a steady medium pace, but rather than giving any of their quicks a go down the hill. And as you said, maybe it'll be a couple of overs as a partnership breaker. It does happen.
Yes.
There are players who have a knack.
They do.
For whatever psychological reason, or you can analyse it, but...
Haines in again, bowls, and Hain drives nicely down the ground, picks up a single, good tumbling save there at mid-on by, I think that's Gurinder Sandhu all the way down in the distance, and there is a single to Hain, who goes to 11, 142 for 2. A slip is the only close fielder. Tom Haines is already back in against us. Sussex certainly up the ante with their over 8 in and bowls, and Latham is forward, plays to mid-wicket, fielded there by Clark, and there is no run. I wonder whether maybe they're going to bring James Coles on, maybe from this C end, and maybe switch Carson to the top end. I don't know, they're going to try all sorts of things here, Sussex. Haines around the wicket, bowls. Latham is forward, plays into the offside. There is no run. End of Tom Haines over, an over that just cost him 2 runs, 142 for 2. The lead is 24. The other important statistic is that there are now 60 overs left in the day. Tea will not be until 20 to 4, so this will be a long session. And we speculated that James Coles might be changing ends, and that is exactly what's going to happen. He's going to bowl from the C end of the ground. And I wonder whether that will mean they'll bowl Carson from the top end. John Simpson is chatting away to Jack Carson. So maybe it was just an over of Haynes to switch things around.
Yeah, possibly.
But it's certainly going to be James Coles. 6 overs, 1 for 10 for the slow left arm spin of James Coles. Now, is Ollie Robinson standing at leg? The angle I'm at, is he? Yes, Ollie Robinson's at leg slip. There's a slip and a leg slip in place. Sorry, mate, you're over.
Yes, Coles, you don't have to wait long for another over, do you, at the moment?
No.
Coles has Hain defending. With respect to Tom Haynes, if he carries on bowling for very long, this is going to get very confusing very quick.
It is.
So he might bear with us. Coles bowls, and this is guided down on the bounce for it to be stopped with a flop at slip.
By Haynes.
By Haynes, inevitably.
Yeah, this could be fun.
I was hoping you'd point that out. Second slip has come in now. From this angle, he looks as though he's almost standing on first slip's toe, but I think he's actually slightly ahead of him. And they're making a fuss about bringing a man to backward square leg, just behind square there for the sweep. Hain plays this very late indeed, but with only a defensive bat. Interesting if they are turning the spinners around. Coles is pushing in again and scuttles that a bit through low to Hain, who just made sure he got into position slightly quicker. And again, Hain is giving a commentary to Latham by means of hand signals as to what each ball is doing. Coles is in again, and Hain takes a step to the offside and defends. And again, he looks straight down the pitch, looks at Latham, and is just indicating to Tom Latham exactly what's going on. In comes Coles, whips his arm over again, and this is floated up well wide of off stump, so Sam Hain has nothing to do with that, and that was a brisk maiden over from Coles, his first maiden. 7 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 10, and they have treated him with a fair bit of respect.
Yes, they are. And I think unusually for me, we called that correctly, because I think Jack Carson's going to bowl from the top end.
So Carson bowled 6 overs for 20 today, coming up the hill, and now he's going to have a go down it.
The camera picked out somebody sitting in front on a chair. I don't know who that was, whether it was any relevance to Jack Carson, I don't know. Oh no, it's the gentleman who's sitting down here in the Players Club. He's completely on his own, way to our right hand side. But it is going to be Carson who's going to come in from the Cromwell Road end to bowl to the left-handed Tom Latham. The lead is 24, so effectively 24 for 2 with 59 overs left in the day. Carson in bowls to Latham, who's solidly forward. Tom Latham, he's faced 105 balls for his 49. Very watchful from the New Zealander. He waits. Carson is in again. Bowled. Latham uses his feet and plays that. Quickly turn that into a full toss and clips the ball to mid-wicket. And there's a half century for Tom Latham, which has come in 106 balls in 141 minutes, including 5 boundaries, and a very solid, secure innings it's been as well from Tom Latham.
Exactly what's called for. His
Yes.
5th score of 50 or more in 9 innings for the Bears. He's converted one of them to a century, and a big one it was against Surrey.
Coles over the wicket, bowls, and a strange shot by Sam Hain. It was as if he was wanting to let that go.
Yes, it turned across him and he just let it go.
He did. it's ended up in the hands of James Coles, who's a backward square leg, almost a, yes, I would call that backward square leg as opposed to a short fine leg. Slipping a...
Oh, just glanced at his hip as he turned away.
Coles in again, bowls, and Hain circumspectly forward, plays with soft hands into the offside. There is no run.
He plays defensively in quite an expressive way, Sam Hain, in that the bat and the head are perfectly still, but everything else is moving.
Yes.
His legs are flexing and his feet are shuffling.
Coles, Hain plays to short leg, no run. Mark Robinson was full of praise for Sam Hain, wasn't he? He said he feels he's probably missed the England sort of 50 over boat now, and is now just enjoying his cricket.
Well, I think he's one of the more enjoyable players to watch. I'm just saying that as someone who follows Warwickshire around, but I think he is.
Casting in bowls, Hain defends down on the onside. He's playing very watchfully here today. He's made 11 off of 42 deliveries at the end of Jack Carson's over. 14 overs, 1 maiden, 0 for 41. And Warwickshire 143 for 2, with Hain on 11, Latham 58. The lead is 25.
When he first came into the Warwickshire team, you could tell, or it was the thing that immediately struck everybody was how strikingly similar in all his mannerisms and movements he was to Jonathan Trott, who at that time I think was just coming to the end of his time with England. So often Trott and Hain batted together for Warwickshire, and it was frequently hard to tell which was which, because all the sort of little mannerisms and things that Trott used to do and that we all got used to watching in Test cricket, Sam Hain was doing them as well, and it was almost like watching, a lad and his dad, doing the same thing. So I think we used to tease Sam a little bit about that. But now he's developed a whole manner of playing of his own. So you would now say it's a Hain method rather than a Trott method. It's distinctly different. Coles starts a new over coming up the hill, and his first ball is floated wide of off stump. Latham waits and reverse sweeps, and he's going to get runs here. There's a long chase up the hill for Crocombe, and maybe a little bit of pace has been taken out of the outfield by the rain we had earlier on, and Crocombe's able to catch up with it, and so they have 2 runs. So he likes to play the reverse. Latham. He's 52, and he's waiting again for Coles, and takes half a step forward to get into the right place to defend. I'd suggest, not that I've got any batting chops at all, but I would suggest young batters watching the footwork of these two when they're playing defensively is quite educative. This is full, very full from Coles, and Latham watches it land in around the popping crease, but it's well wide. Coles tries again, and this time he's a little overcompensating, just goes short, and it's cut chunkily through the offside by Latham for 4. His bat makes what for him is a very satisfying clunk when he plays off the back foot through the offside. He's a solidly built man, and can feel all that going through the stroke and hear it. So he picks up 4.
All useful runs these, Mike, just extending the lead.
31 runs in front. Coles bowls again, and Latham hits this one a bit straighter, but it was in the air for a short while, but it was never anywhere near the fielder at extra cover, and it is away for another 4. So finishing with the over with 2 boundaries that lift Warwickshire past 150. They're 153 for 2. Latham has gone up to 60, and Hain is 11. Warwickshire now leading by 35.
Interesting there, just watching Jack Carson field the ball, and he was very keen to get it as dry as possible. Last week up at Durham, we did have a bit of rain, and it was the Durham coach, whose name momentarily escapes me, who was saying the problem is, it gets a bit like a sponge, the Kookaburra ball, when it gets wet, so it does make it quite difficult. Ryan Campbell is the name I was looking for.
I'm not sure that people didn't say that about the Duke. Don't say that about the Duke's ball as well, but yes, it does seem to be was a regular complaint last week. Can't be the complaint this week in many places though.
No. Slip short leg slip. So Sussex are on the attack, and
I've got to.
yeah, John Simpson trying everything that he knows here. As Carson comes in from the Cromwell Road end, down the leg side, taken by Simpson, and there is no run. Carson into his 15th over, yet to take a wicket for 41. Hain 11. Latham is on 60. And Carson comes in from the Cromwell Road end. He's in and bowls, and Hain is forward and played to Ibrahim at short leg, who was momentarily interested. The ball was short of Ibrahim, and there is no run. 153 for 2. Carson again on his way for the Cromwell Road. It's got a bit dark now as Carson is in bowls, and clipped away by Hain to backward square leg footed there by Hughes, and there is no run. We've got a guest in the commentary box, who I shall introduce in a minute. Mike's gone next door to do his updates to the listeners on BBC WM. A former Sussex man, but now plying his trade at Warwickshire. In comes Carson bowls. Hain down the wicket driving, and I don't think that was picked up by Henry Crocombe. It's gone short of him anyway, but he took a couple of paces down the wicket, did Sam Hain. He didn't really get to the pitch of the ball, and the ball rather bloomed away in the offside. And it's another single to Hain. He goes to 12. And Warwickshire to 154 for 2, leading by 36. Moral victory for Carson. Comes in around the wicket, bowls to Latham, who plays firmly into the offside. He's going to pick up a single to deep backward point, fielded out on the boundary edge by Finn Hudson Prentice. Latham picks up another single. He goes to 61. Total to 155 for 2. The field changes over for the right-handed Sam Hain. Still the leg slip and short leg in place as Carson is in over the wicket, bowls and played by Hain back to the square on the leg side. There is no run, fielded by Daniel Hughes. End of the over, 155 for 2. Delighted to welcome to the commentary box George Garton. Good to see you, George.
Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for having me.
Great. So, well, thanks for coming over. I don't think anyone expected you to be here because of various injuries. You've been on all sorts, haven't you? 12th man duties and all sorts of things.
Yeah, I was here for obviously the break in the T20s. Came down home for a couple of days, and then I said I'd help out for the first few days and head back up to get ready for the T20s again. But unfortunately, Rushy got injured, so they asked me to stay and help out a bit longer.
So, a couple of days at home, that's quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, especially the way the sun was, it was beautiful down here.
James Coles is going to carry on. Lots to talk about. What we're going to do, George, I'm going to talk for about 15 minutes about Sussex and bits and pieces, then Mike's going to have a chat to you about how things are going at Warwickshire. As in comes Coles, bowls and played onto the leg side by Tom Latham. There is no. And the trouble is, when we've got the spinners on, you don't get much chance to chat, so we'll try. The only rule is I have to describe every ball. And as in comes James Coles over the wicket, bowls. Latham is forward, plays down the onside of the track. Again, there is no run. There's a slip and a short leg are the only close fielders. James Coles is very, very quick through his overs, and he's already coming in again. In and bowls and cut away by Latham, but only as far as backward point. Well, Ollie Robinson, I don't know if he's a bit stiff or what. Ollie Robinson, he seemed to be sort of hobbling. Was that my impression, or did he look a bit stiff there?
I think it's been a tough 4 days for all the bowlers on both teams, so I'm sure he's feeling it a little bit.
Coles in, bowls, played by Latham through mid-wicket, and he picks up a single. A tough 4 days because of the conditions, a little bit of that due to the Kookaburra ball as well, George?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, maybe. I know we were definitely 50-50 at the start of the game whether we were going to bat or bowl, and we actually chose to bat because it was the Kookaburra ball. I think it was the Duke we would have bowled. So
really?
Yeah.
Because there was a bit in the pitch?
Yeah, there was definitely some green live grass.
Coles around the wicket, bowls, clipped onto the leg side by Hain, who goes for his 13th run, the total 157 for 2.
Yeah, and we felt that probably if there was going to be the best time to bowl, it was day one, but knew that if we could get through that first period with the Kookaburra, we could hopefully push home an advantage.
Coles Final ball of his 9th over in and bowls, and Latham punches down the ground, picks up a single. He goes to 63, the total to 158 for 2 at the end of the over. Mike's been doing some interviews with the Warwickshire lads, and the general feeling from the Warwickshire lads seemed to be that this is a decent cricket wicket. There has been a little bit in it for the bowlers.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the take home after the first few days, that if you put it in the right area and were consistent for long periods, then it wasn't free scoring. Hove's quite a fast scoring ground naturally, and it wasn't easy if you put it in the right place for a long period. But but I think both teams batted really well, went about it slightly differently, and hopefully we just keep batting now.
Jack Carson is going to carry on from the Cromwell Road end of the ground, coming into bowl. Where are we, George? His 16th over. He's in on bowls. Latham uses his feet, clips John's side. He's got a bit of a move on here. Daniel Hughes is quickly in, gets in the throw, but Sam Hain was backing up and goes through comfortably for his single. Is there sort of like a bit of an audible groan around players playing with the Kookaburra ball?
Not from Corey. I think Corey likes it.
Yeah, he loved it.
He bowls 57 sets. I guess a little bit. I mean, you look around the grounds, it was the highest scoring first innings ever in the county championship, so you can't say it's all down to conditions.
In comes Carson bowls. Hain plays for, I think that strikes him on the pad, goes out in the offside, no run. And I guess from your point of view, we'll talk about white ball and red ball cricket in a minute, George, but primarily you're playing white ball cricket now, but you'd have bowled a bit with the Kookaburra, yeah? Yeah,
I had a play around this week too, just playing with the sort of warming up with the lads, and it doesn't swing for long.
It comes Carson bowls, very diplomatic, played onto the onside by Hain, fielded at short leg by Dan Ibrahim, and there is no run. 159 for 2.
It definitely requires a few different skills, maybe to be a bit more creative with how you want to get people out than the I guess traditional dukes.
Carson in bowls. Hain clips onto the leg side again, there is no run. It's funny actually, because I remember talking to Finn Hudson-Prentice last year about the Kookaburra, and he said exactly what you said actually, that in some ways it's good because it means you have to think of different ways of getting players out. You can't just run up, put it on a length and it's going to swing around all over the place, particularly in sort of April and May as it does in this country and seam. But perhaps it's gone a bit too much the other way. In comes Carson bowls, plays onto the onside by Hain.
I do think it's a much better idea playing it at this time of the year than the first few games as last year.
Yeah.
Because talking to the Aussie overseas and the Kiwis, they say as soon as the Kookaburra gets wet, then it is really tricky.
Yeah. Carson over the wicket, bowls and clipped away by Hain, comes off Ibrahim's pads. There is no run. End of the over. 159 for 2. Latham 64. Hain on 13. What's the feeling amongst the Warwickshire lads at the minute? I mean, we've lost 17 overs to bad light and rain today, George. 54 overs left. I mean, what was the feeling in the camp around lunchtime?
I think those 17 overs lost sort of took any of the sting out for us to try and push a result. Now I think it's us being smart and clever and batting the way that we want to.
Was there some suggestion that Warwickshire might have tried to set something up, or?
I mean, at the start of the day we spoke about sort of seeing where we were at lunchtime.
Right.
Davo's an aggressive captain and he likes to push the game on.
Coles in on bowls. Latham steers this into the offside and there is no run. And the feeling has been that he's picked up a single. What am I talking about? Latham goes to 65, and the feeling that Rocky Chody definitely made the ball turn. He might have quite fancied bowling on here last.
Potentially, yeah. I think it hasn't quite broken up, and sort of when it spins, if it spins slowly, it's not too bad. It's when it spits a bit that it's tricky.
Coles round the wicket, bowls clipped onto the onside by Hain. These two have looked largely untroubled, I think it's fair to say. He goes to 14, the total to 161 for 2. And the lead, which is important now, goes to 43, because all the time that lead is being inked out, there's only 53 overs after this one left in the day. Coles in again, bowls, played into the offside by Latham, there is no run. Let's talk a bit about you, George, back at Hove. What's it like? So this is the first time you've been back?
It is, yeah, it's the first time I've been in the ground since 2023. It's nice to be back.
Coles over the wicket bowls. Latham defends down the offside, no run.
Yeah, it was really nice actually to see a few familiar faces, especially at the gate with Sam and a few of the others. They gave me a nice warm welcome.
Coles in and bowls. Forward comes Latham, plays down the offside of the track, no run. Yeah, I saw you on the first day. Chatted out here to Mark Robinson, who's obviously back. John Philby was down there as well.
Yes, yeah. It was obviously Robbo moved from Warwickshire down here. He seems to be loving it down here.
Coles in bowls, played into the offside. But what if that always dribbled onto the stumps there from Tom Latham? They all waited, and John Simpson was watching. End of the over, 161 for 2. Latham 65, Hain on 14. And I know you've still got a base down here as well, George.
Yes, yeah, I still live in Hove and use that as kind of my home. And I'm renting up in Birmingham during the season, so I'm nice and close to the ground.
And we won't go into the whys and ways. It was just when you left. It was a good time for everyone. I mean, is that sometimes a change is what's needed? Is that what you've reached in your career?
I don't really want to talk about too much.
No?
But I'm glad I moved.
Okay.
Just for that thing of a fresh start, and when you go somewhere, you learn that you could. Maybe you were taking it so easy, or I don't know. Sometimes a fresh place is a nice start, and you get to see new places, new coaches, learn things from new teammates.
Sure. It's going to be Carson who's in and bowls, clipped away by Hain onto the leg side, and there is no run. But primarily, I'll be right in saying you're playing white ball cricket now. Is that right, George?
Yes, yeah. That's certainly that was last year, and going into this year. I spoke quite closely with Westy, our head coach, about a bit more red ball cricket this year, but it hasn't quite worked out.
In comes Carson, bowls to Hain, plays on the leg side, there is no run. But it's a form of cricket you still like to play?
Yes, yeah, and it's a form of cricket I'd love to help Warwickshire if I can. The skill set I offer is slightly different, so if I can help Warwickshire win games of cricket in any format, then that's what I'd love to do.
Hain waits. Carson right on over the wicket, in and bowls, clipped onto the leg side by Carson, and there is no run. I have to say, I haven't been keeping much of an eye on the northern group of T20, so you have to tell me how Warwickshire. I mean, Michael probably talked to you about that when he comes in and has a natter. As Hain waits, there's a chance Sussex could play Warwickshire. You never know, George. In the latter stages, in comes Carson bowls. Hain plays it onto the legs of Dan Ibrahim. I think the ball balloons in the air. It came off the pads, and Dan Ibrahim, in fact, I'm not sure that did hit the pads actually. I think that might have hit him somewhere that wasn't protected.
I think that's hit him on the kneecap.
Ouch. Let's just see that. It looked quite painful. He was hopping around, Dan Ibrahim. Not some wild fancy fielding, I have to say.
No, it's not the position that people hold their hands up.
No, definitely not. Carson is in bowls. Hain defends down the offside of the track. There is no run. Total remains 161 for 2. Hain on 14. Yes, how have Warwickshire been doing T20 wise?
We've done pretty well. I think we're sitting sort of middle of the table. Won our last couple of games.
Carson in bowls, clipped away by Hain to mid-wicket. There is no run. End of the over. 161 for 2. The lead is 43.
I guess it's a little bit tricky because we've topped the group quite easily the last 3 years. So you sort of go into the season with expectation. But the funny thing about T20 cricket is that anything can happen and any team can beat anyone. So we're doing all right. Obviously the next few games are quite important. You always talk about winning 9 out of the 14 sort of secures you a
right. That's interesting.
Final.
Yeah.
And so I think we got a few important games away. Obviously the test matches at Edgbaston this week. So we play Leicester on Friday and then go up to Durham on Sunday. 2 couple of important games. Hopefully win both of those and put us in a really strong position.
I know this isn't university popular, but and I'm not just saying it because I'm talking to you, but I've often thought that if you win the group, I personally think the winners of the group should go to finals day. But that's just me. It just seems to me that you could win every game in a group, have a bad quarter final, and then and you're out. In comes Coles, bowls, and swept away by Tom Latham. That's a nice looking shot by Latham. It's only a single out to the fielder on the deep square leg boundary who gets in the throw. One more to the total, 162 for 2. I mean, that must be quite galling, isn't it, when you win a group comfortably?
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. That I think whoever tops the group on both sides.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if you're good enough to win or top the group after 14 games, I think you deserve a bit more reward than sort of someone that can just scrape in fourth. Maybe I'm saying that as a biased point of view as we top the group.
I've thought that a lot, George. Not just I'm talking to you. I know that sides like quarterfinals. It's an extra game. It's more revenue. I understand all the financial reasons, but in comes Coles, clipped away by Hain to mid wicket. There is no run, but I do think you would have every right that. You know, if it was Sussex who'd top the group and then you get beat by a side, so he's just squeaked into 4th place, and anything can happen in T20. In comes Coles, bowls, clipped away to mid-wicket by Hain, and there is no run. Funnily
enough, I reckon more teams have won the Blast having just scraped in than topped the group and comfortably walked through.
Well, I remember 3 or 4 years ago, it might have just been pre-COVID actually, George, as in comes Coles round the wicket, bowls, and played into the offside by Hain. There is no run. Essex came here, and I remember the guy from BP Essex said to me, well, we're out of this now. You know, we need to win like 5 games on the spin, and results elsewhere, it's just not going to happen. You know, we're out of it. In comes Coles. Hain plays very straight to mid-off. There is no run. And what happened? They beat Sussex, won their next 4. Results went their way. They squeaked in on the last day and won it.
Yeah. I think the momentum towards the back end of the tournament's that important.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Coles. Around the wicket, bowls and clips onto the leg side by Hain, fielded at backwards square leg, and there is no run. End of another over, 162 for 2. Latham 66, Hain on 14. Lead is 44. Just some of these Sussex lads that are out here now, George. I mean, you're a little bit older than some of the younger players, but you'd have played with a lot of these lads out here. How have you sort of gauged their development? I'm thinking, particularly perhaps of the likes of James Coles, who, back-to-back hundreds in the Championship. What's your sort of memories of James coming to the club and how he's developing as a player?
I think it's just rewards for, firstly, the club for sticking with them. I know that from 2020 to 2022-3, there was a lot of people outside the ground. There was a lot of outside noise about why are you playing so many young players, etc. And I think it's just rewards for the club and the players who work their socks off. They got the rewards. It was brilliant to see sort of a lot of friends do well last year and win the Championship.
In comes Carson, beats Latham outside the off stump, taken by Simpson, no run.
So yeah, I'm really pleased for Colesy, Hainsey, Jack especially, Clarkey, Dan Ibrahim, even the guys sort of just away from it at the moment. Ollie Carter, Croaks is doing well.
In comes Carson Bowles. Latham, well, he came forward. He got a leading edge there, I think, George. It's gone to mid-off to Gurinder Sandhu, and he's rather got away with it. We'll just watch that again, just to give you a professional judgment on that shot. It is a leading edge.
Yeah, I think he's leading edge. He's trying to be positive and get a single down to mid-on and slight leading edge, but semi in control.
How important is it for Warwickshire that they don't, they pick up these runs? Because I guess they don't want to sort of get them, because Sussex are still in this game. A couple of wickets now, and everything could change. Yeah,
you don't want to sort of hunker up and not look to score, because as you said, the lead isn't too much, 45 at the moment. So
Carson in bowls, clipped away by Hain, and Daniel Ibrahim's been hit again.
And it's obviously a good wicket, so you want to sort of score as freely as you can without taking any risks. Because that sort of kills the game as much as blocking it does.
Leg slip, short leg. In comes Carson bowls. Ooh, and is he caught behind? He is caught behind. Sussex have thought they got their man. John Simpson took the catch. Sam Hain was going absolutely nowhere. We'll see that again, but Sussex were convinced they'd got their man. But umpire said, well, we can't see from here because the angle we're looking at. But they were all up. Carson turned round as if he was convinced. I don't know, there's a bit of kidology going on, we shall see. But until we see that from the other end. Oh, here we go, George.
I think it's clipped his pad, but maybe that's from Warwickshire goggles on.
Looked like a thick outside edge to me. Anyway, the umpire's giving it not out. Carson. is in again, bowls and clipped away to backward square leg by Hain, and there is no run. And during that period, George, it was a difficult period for the club when the younger players were coming through and seemed to be getting beaten week in, week out. Did that sort of, did the dressing room ever get demoralised with that, or did they always feel that they were it was starting to happen?
That's a good question. I'll let you talk this ball.
Carson in and bowls, and Hain is struck on the pad. I don't know if Jack's getting the ball to turn a little bit here, but Hain looks a little uncertain. He's generally a very positive player, is Sam Hain.
I think it'd be wrong if you said lads weren't slightly demoralised. It's tough.
Yes, of course.
Week in, week out, and sort of batting twice and bowling once. But I don't think the lads were too disheartened. They knew that, and actually for a period we would probably win the first innings. I remember especially the COVID season where it was 3 groups of 6.
Yes.
And we played Lancashire and Yorkshire here, and we had a lead of about 60-70 in both games going into the second innings. And we sort of outplayed them in the first innings, and then I go whether it's a lack of experience or sort of knowledge, but we lost the game in the second half, and it seemed to be that go for quite a few games, and that's guys learning how to play 4-day cricket and learn that you have to be consistent over all 4 days to beat someone, not just in the first innings.
Ollie Robinson is going to bowl his off breaks. Coming in from the C end, he somehow convinced John Simpson that he should take over from James Cole. Just tell us about Ollie bowling off breaks, George.
Annoyingly good would be my description. As a fast bowler who can't really bowl spin. He's obviously tall, so you have to respect him a bit more than I guess you'd like to if.
Well, that's down the leg side, whipped away by Latham down to fine leg. One
if
more
say
to the total.
Croaks or Hainsey wanted to bowl some spin. He's done it, I guess, through his whole career. I remember him actually getting his 5th wicket of his 5 for against Durham bowling spin a few years ago. So treat him with respect, but I guess you know you're going to get a couple balls to score off because it's not his main skill.
Well, he's just adjusting his field here to the right-handed Sam Hain. Mark Robinson came up. Well, so you could talk Warwickshire with Mike in a minute, but he was saying what a good player Sam Hain is, and feels he's a bit unlucky not to have got international honours. Robinson in bowls. Oh, that's a full toss. That's a horrible ball. It's clipped away through mid-wicket. Picks up a single. Does Hain? He goes to 15. The total to 165 for 2. The lead now to 47. Sussex starting to get desperate for a wicket or two here. Robinson in again. Bowls. Ooh. Well, Latham was perhaps neither forward nor back, and the ball squeezed out onto the offside, and there is no run. Yeah,
I'd have to agree with whoever said that. Haney's one of the best, I think, domestic players on the circuit.
Robinson in bowls, played into the offside by Latham, and there is no run.
Yeah, there's a few people that make training and certain parts of the game that should be quite challenging. They make it look quite easy.
In comes Robinson bowls, played onto the onside by Latham. There is no run. End of the over, 165 for 2. I'll make way for Mike in a minute. I presume, have you got a gig in the 100 this year, George?
Yes, I'm up at Manchester this
year.
Right. Obviously
is that
Southern
a new
Brave.
team?
Yeah, Southern Brave for the first 4 years. Loved my time down there. Sort of didn't play any of the games last year. So fresh start at Manchester this year. Back with Salty, which I'm looking forward to. Obviously grew up playing academy and Sussex stuff with him here, so it'll be good fun linking up again with him.
And he's gone on to do great things. I'm going to make way for Mike, who's going to have a natter away about matters Warwickshire. Thanks for coming in, George.
Thanks, Adrian.
It's been really good to see you, and good luck for the rest of the season. We'll do a
much.
quick swap around the headphones here, so sure. I'll keep nattering away, and if you give yours to Mike, as in comes Carson and bowls, and forward comes Hain, plays into the offside, and there is no run. So I'm going to pass my headset to George, and here's Mike.
All right. Cole's, Carson, he's into now a 19th over, his 12th today, and he is moving in again to bowl to Hain, who he's turning this past 2 fielders close on the leg side and away for no run. You'll be back in action Friday, George, will you? Press the button, that's it. Friday at Leicester?
Yeah, Friday at Leicester, and then Sunday at Durham.
this is a heavy shift this week of travelling. This is turned away by Hain, and he takes one step towards making a run and then changes his mind.
Yeah, it's definitely been a tough stint, especially for the guys that are playing both formats. To go, so we played 5 games in 9 days in the T20s, and then 1 day off into the 4 days.
And then 6 more in 2 weeks, I think, to finish it. Forward comes Hain and Defends.
Yes, yeah.
But
Friday, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
Now, time was when county cricketers would travel by car.
Yeah.
But the bus has been out here every day, so we've been staying in Brighton. Have you took?
I've been staying at home actually.
Oh, of course you can.
Sort of
yes.
handy thing about still living down here.
Of course. Hain pads up to the next ball. So back up the road tonight, presumably? Are they?
The lads will be back up the road tonight, probably day off tomorrow, and then travel to Leicester on Friday
Straight
morning.
On Friday. So, the blast, you do find that teams, I think, get on a roll, either a winning roll or a losing roll.
Yeah.
It's been unusual this season that the Bears haven't quite been like that, but usually it's been a winning roll more often the last few years. Round the wicket comes Carson, tries that angle, and Hain defends, and it's the end of another over, 165 for 2.
Yeah, I think because the games come thick and fast, it's one of those where if you get on the right side or the wrong side of a few results, you can find yourself on a roll, good or bad. And with the T20 format, it doesn't take a lot for it to go either way. We had a couple of close games against Notts, very high scoring, where a couple of deliveries or decisions or whatever it is go the other way, and you walk away with 2 wins and you're sitting pretty at the top. So.
And there's the very little time, I would think, to practice any skills in that time. So if you get a batter who is, I think the blast is very harsh on a batter who has a couple of low scores.
Yes.
Because you immediately must feel a bit out of form, and you can't work on anything.
Yeah, I've seen guys this afternoon sort of playing in this game, practicing some white ball skills, because if they don't do that, they don't have time to practice either way, which I don't think is the best thing for them. They're mid-game.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Trying to either win or draw a game for Warwickshire, and they've got to think about doing something else because there's a game coming on Friday.
Robinson started another over, and Latham has swept a ball down to long leg for 1 run. Yeah, and the different types of the game have diverged so much. So there was a time, which you won't remember, but when in the middle of a 4-day game you would play a Sunday league game, which was 40 overs on the Sunday, and then you'd finish the 4-day game on the Monday. But Robinson tries again and turns this off break into Hain's front pad, but Hain doesn't look too bothered as they all shout. But the disciplines, I don't think there was that much difference at that time, or at least the skills. You might try and score at a faster rate. Robinson wheels in again, and Hain is turning this on the bounce and hitting Ibrahim at short leg. But now the blast is so far removed from what we're watching now that it really is like training for a different game.
Yeah, as a bowler and a batter, they are very contrast.
Robinson tries again. It's full, met on the full toss by Hain, but strikes it up to mid-on.
I think that's where people like Haney, Davo, Barney are so invaluable and so impressive with the bat, is that they can transfer those skills and shift quite quickly.
In comes Robinson, and back goes Hain and places quite gracefully off the back foot through extra cover. He takes 1 to end of another over, 167 for 2 at the end of it. So Warwickshire leading by 49. So in the 2 weeks since you've last played a blast game, there were some seconds games. Are they useful? Do you play a bit of that? You've obviously been here for 4 days doing a fair bit of fielding. So.
Yeah, I came home for a week, and then the plan was to train here and help out for the first 2 days.
Right.
Go back up to Warwickshire and play the twos game yesterday. But unfortunately, with Rushy going down, Wesley asked if I could stay and help out a bit longer, which is fine, because in between, whether at lunch or tea, I can get my skills in and practice. So I would have liked to play the game, but obviously the team comes first, and I'm happy to help. And you still get good training in here. You've got the bowling coach, the batting coach.
Start of another over for Carson at 167 for 2 to Hain, who's been very watchful in making 16. But he gets a run here, pushing it off the back foot out to Crocombe at deep extra cover. And you've had some success so far this season, the Blast, bowling at the start of the innings, which is a rough time to bowl. And Carson bowls again, and Latham defends. And batting, you've had 2 or 3, frankly, quite violent innings just recently. So you've sort of moved gradually up the batting order to 7, but I now sense that you're being played very much as an all-rounder.
Yeah, it's something I like doing. So I've spoken to Westy and people that ask me how do I want to play my cricket, and I like to impact the game, whether I'm with bat or ball, and quite quickly. So I like to give the option, especially with the bat, where if the team feel like they need a bit of impetus and someone to go in and try and score quickly, then I'm happy to do that.
Latham defended the next 2 now from Carson. He plays exactly the same stroke. And it's a very flexible order as well, that you've got, so potentially flexible.
Yeah, I think
you've got Mo in there, you can move up and down, obviously Sam can come in at any point.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of guys that, I guess it's the testament to the skill in the changing room.
Carson's round the wicket and Latham plays that very late.
Adapting to the conditions and the state of the game that allows us to be quite flexible and send guys in that match up really well to what the opposition are throwing at us.
Carson rubs the ball on his shirt, perhaps as much to dry it as anything else. And he's in again, but Latham meets him on the back foot with a straight bat, and another over slides by. 168 for 2, the lead is 50.
He gets drinks.
And they'll take a drink. You also are a world record holder. Which
apparently so, yeah.
Supporters
me
here
and
might not know.
300 other people.
Well, look, you've raised the number of world records in this commentary box by 1. But with 5 catches, which, because, again, in T20 cricket, fielding is more a feature of the game. You've got some terrific specialist fielders, of which you are now one. You have specialist positions in the field, don't you? You're swooping around.
Yeah, I sort of like to put myself wherever I think the ball's going to go.
Yeah.
As you said, I think the shorter the format, I guess the more impetus you can have in the field, and saving 4 runs or more can be a real big game changer. It's the part of my game I've always looked at. If I can save 8 runs in the field, then I feel like that comes off your bowling or added to your batting. So it is important. I think that game sort of things just happen and the ball just keeps following
just follows you around.
Which is quite nice when you're catching them. Yeah. I know it can be the reverse, and especially watching on TV, you see games where the ball follows the poor bloke that isn't having the best day. So
5 for your Sussex supporters here who wouldn't have picked that up. And I forget which Blast game it was in now. It
was against Derbyshire.
Against Derbyshire. George took 5 catches in, as I remember, in all various different parts of the outfield. Wherever he went, the ball followed you. Adrian, you're being summoned by your office here to come on. So, I'll pass this over. George can tell us more about how making 5 catches in a day.
Oh, Adrian is here, so I'll do this update. George, you can natter away and tell us about your...
Well, I was going to say, funnily enough, I think the last time it happened, before the Derby game, I remember I was playing in here where Matt Machin took 5. I think it was against Glamorgan, where he took 5.
Did he?
In 2016?
Right.
I think it was my debut.
Was it?
For Sussex, yeah, in the T20.
Do you still see Matt at all?
I haven't seen Matt for a long time. I know he's still around.
Okay.
I did see. I think he's not had the best of luck with his heart. I think he.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, I saw some stuff on social media. He had some sort of medical issues and bits and pieces. So let's hope that he's okay. One thing I meant to say to you actually, when you're not missing any of the play because the players having a drink break and umpires having a natter as well. When you were, you grew up in the county, who were your sort of heroes at Sussex? Who did you think? Yeah, one day I'd like to play at Hove, like whoever it was.
It's a good question. I was lucky enough. To spend a bit of time around the dressing room. I grew up with Morsey was coach to start with, and me and Tom used to play a lot in the indoor school. So I was around the team a little bit when we were very successful, obviously. Chris Adams was captain, Murray Goodwin, Mushtaq Ahmed, James Kirtley, who's now the bowling coach, Nashi, Joycey, Righty. So I guess I looked up to a lot of them. And then you get in the same dressing room and you realise that all blokes are quite childish at heart. And
Really?
yeah, I think especially with people like Righty and Nashi and Joycey, it's sort of you
Talk
go.
about the England selector there, I'm sure.
I know that, but
I can only imagine, George. I'm sure it was great fun.
yeah, I look back on those days fondly. It sounds weird saying that, not feeling that old, but
Yeah.
sort of making my debut in 2016 and being in a dressing room with so many experienced players. Yards was still there. To have that experience and feel part of it, I think it was an awesome changing room. And talking to the guys that, a bit like Righty and Nashi and the guys that left, they said that was one of their favourite times of their career with that dressing room.
And how old were you when you thought, I want to be a professional cricketer? Was that something you'd always wanted to do? Or?
I think so, yeah. I used to come down from, I guess, the age of 5 to watch. And I loved all sport growing up. I played hockey, rugby, cricket. And I guess it was just a progression. I came down so much. I wasn't brilliant at it, at cricket, until sort of I showed a bit more promise at 16 to 18. I got a lot to thank Keith Greenfield for. He took a little bit of a punt when I was 15 and
Cole's in, just broke off as it bowls to Hain onto the onside, no run.
bowled with the keeper up, and I just certainly wasn't impressing anyone enormously, and he saw something and put me on the academy, and I guess the rest went from there.
Yeah. In comes Coles, and the wicket in and bowls to Hain, clips onto the onside, picks up at least one, fielded by Jack Cast, who's quite quickly round from mid-on to field. I'm only fiddling around with the machine here because I've got to do an update to our listeners, George, so hopefully this isn't too distracting.
Not at all.
So I will just natter away for a couple of minutes. Latham waits. He's on 69. In comes Coles, bowls, and and he's out. Tom Latham is gone, and James Coles has picked up a wicket. Now, it looked to me like there was a bit of bounce there for James Coles. It was turned by Tom Latham, and Dan Ibrahim taking a good sharp catch in at short leg. So a third wicket goes down, and just as we were thinking this game is drifting to a draw, all of a sudden Sussex pick up a wicket.
Yeah, I definitely think that spat a little bit. What I was talking about earlier, where the spinners were spinning it, but there wasn't that excessive bounce. Colsey's obviously found a little bit of rough, and it has jumped a bit.
So Tom Latham's innings comes to an end, and another good bowling change by John Simpson, who seems to have the Midas touch here. He's brought James Coles back into the attack. He's picked up a wicket, and another wicket goes down. As to whether there's enough time, well, there's still 45 odd overs. There's still a bit of batting for Warwickshire to do here, George.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'll let you do this.
Yeah. Yes, and you join us just as Sussex have taken another wicket here. Warwickshire now 169 for 3. They lead by 51, and it's another wicket for James Coles. Still 45 overs left to be bowled in the day. The chances are this is heading for a draw, but Sussex have still got just a squeak of winning this game. Meanwhile, at the Oval, definitely heading for a draw. Durham 75 without loss in their second innings, still trailing by 383, and it's raining down at Canterbury, where Kent are 18 for 1 in their second innings. They still trail Northamptonshire by 138. In fact, I just noticed they're back on at Kent now. Nice to see Harry Finch getting 100 down there as well, so a player you would know well, George.
Yes, yeah, it was really good to see Harry. I think it was his sixth 100 for first class. Yeah, I was really chuffed for him.
James Coles is going to carry on this over. Sorry, I've got what we were talking about now, but in comes Coles around the wicket and bowls and played forward. Yeah, by who's this? Zen Malik's come in at number 5 for Warwickshire. Slip, leg slip, short leg all in place. If Sussex could whittle a couple out now, never quite know what might happen. Coles in again, bowls. Oh, that kept a little low, and Maddock dug that one out to square leg, fielded there by Henry Crocombe, and there is no run.
Yeah, I think this period leading up to tea, what is there?
Another round.
13,
yeah.
13 overs.
Yes,
or so?
tea will be at 20 to 4 regardless. Yeah.
But I'd imagine with the spin on, they might get through a few more than 13. I think that's a crucial period in the game. I think.
Yeah. You were saying that you came through the academy, like to, look, thank Keith Greenfield for blah blah. And how do you relax away from cricket, George? What do you do? You a golfer or a?
Yeah, I do enjoy my golf.
Right.
Try and play.
All cricketers like golf.
I think so. I think most people do. I think because it's another thing that you can spend time with the lads, have a chat, have a bit of competition. And yeah, I think it's just that social aspect as well, where you get to time on your feet in doing a thing that's, I'd say, enjoyable, but most lads find it very frustrating.
What do you play off? I bet it's something horrible like an 8 or something.
No, I'm off 4 at the moment.
Are you?
Yeah, I've got it down to 4.
Well, that is depressingly good, isn't it? Really? Well done, you.
It feels good.
In comes Carson bowls to Hain, who clips on the leg side and picks up a single.
Until I was chatting to Bertie Foreman earlier, and I said, because he said he was playing yesterday. I said, how'd you go? And he said, okay, I shot level par. And I thought, wow, that's not too bad, is it?
Wow. And what does he play? Is he a scratch golfer?
He is a scratch golfer.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so. 0.6 or something around there.
Multi-talented sportsman. I don't know who else plays golf in the Sussex. I don't think John Simpson's a good golfer. I think
so. I think a few of the lads play. I know Hainsey and Clarkey. Clarkey's quite a good golfer. Ollie Rob's good.
What does Ollie play off of?
I wouldn't know. I haven't played with Ollie for a long time, but it was around 8, I think, last time I played with him.
In comes Carson, bowls, forward stretches Malik, plays out into the offside, and there is no run. So a little bit of golf. You play?
Yeah, I love spending time with family, my dogs.
What dogs have you got?
I've got 2. We rescued both of them. One's from Romania, no idea what it is.
Right.
And
Carson in bowls. Malik plays to the covers, no run.
The other one's an American bully that we rescued from a breeder.
Right.
They're both great. I'm definitely a dog person.
Are you?
More than even a human person, I think.
In comes Carson bowls, played into the offside. The result. I've got a couple of dogs as well. The great thing is they're always pleased to see you, George.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't matter what kind of day you've had. You come home and the dog's just as happy to see you and want some affection and spend some time. So.
Joff Archer's very keen on dogs as well, isn't he? He's a big dog fan.
Yeah, Joff's a dog fan. I've looked after a few of his as well. He only lives across the road from me, so if he's away or whatever, he asks a favour, and I'm always happy to oblige.
So did you go out for dog walks together?
We've done a few.
Have you?
Yeah, we've done a few when he had a few more of his dogs over.
Yeah.
We used to take him up to the Downs or a bit further along.
Ah, lovely. In comes Carson. Over the wicket, bowls, and stretching forward is Malik, played into the offside.
It's nice to see him back fully fit and enjoying himself again as well.
Yeah. Well, it was really good to catch up with him at Durham last week, and obviously in and around the England squad. I'd imagine there's a very good chance he's going to play at Lord's. End of the over. 170 for 3. Hain is on 19. Malik is yet to score. We'll let you go in a minute, George. Was there any more Warwickshire questions you would like to quiz George on? There you go.
There's an easy yes with that. I think Richard Gleeson's back fit for Friday too, which is a big boost for us. He was brilliant last year. Obviously unlucky picked up a niggle in the IPL, but he played the Twos game yesterday and did well, and I think he pulled through nicely. So.
And at this stage of the season, do you have winter plans, George? As in comes Coles, bowls, played by Hayden down the other side of the track.
Not yet. No, everything's sort of up in the air at the moment. Things happen so quickly too. There's a lot of cricket options in the winter. I found that out last year where it was just after Christmas.
Coles in bowls, played into the covers by Hayden. There is no run.
Midway through the Big Bash, and Sydney Thunder messaged me and said, do you want to come and play for us in like about 4 days time, and went over, played 5 games. We lost in the final obviously, which was a shame.
In comes Coles bowls, plays down the other side of the track. There is no. Now, did the Thunder play at the SCG?
No, they
play the other one, whatever it's called.
Yeah, the Olympic Park ground.
Yeah. Okay. Coles in bowls. Ball's played onto the onside.
So yeah, we
by
beat
Hain.
the Sixes in the semi-final
Right.
at the SCG, which was very satisfying.
So would Daniel have been playing in that game? He might have been
No,
injured,
he
actually.
wasn't. He was injured.
Right.
He had a cast on his arm.
Right. Coles around the wicket. Bowls and played by Hain firmly to mid on. There is no
Nathan
run.
McAndrew was in my team, so
Right, okay, that was good.
A couple familiar faces. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was good.
I think Nathan's back for the result. I don't know if he's back now. I'd imagine he is because T20
Yes,
resumes. Have you seen him around?
Yeah, I've seen him around.
Coles again bowled, played into the offside, and there is no run. End of the over at 170 for 3. Malik yet to score. Hain on 19. Is that quite nice when you're playing franchise cricket? You must come across these guys sort of all the time. Do you either playing for your team or different teams or whatever it is?
Yeah, very true. And I think it sort of changed the dynamic of county cricket and cricket around the world, where it used to be quite hostile and you'd play for one team and have those people that you'd play against, and I guess there'd be a little bit of hostility. But now with the nature of the game and the way the game is, you play with someone at some stage, and you realise that away from cricket everyone's pretty decent blokes.
Yeah.
It has changed the dynamic a little bit. Guys are still very competitive on the pitch. But yeah, you end up playing with everyone, and I think it's great that you can experience different changing rooms and learn from some of the best in the world wherever you are.
Well, there you go after this over, George. It's been good to see you. Here comes Carson, bowls to Malik, who's forward, plays into the offside, no run. Some of the boys play golf. I know a lot of them are football fans. Are you a football fan or?
No, I'm probably one of the only people in the country that doesn't follow the football at all.
At all?
No, being a local lad, I always watch Brighton as a result base, but I couldn't name everyone in the team.
Carson bowls, plays into the onside by Malik, no run.
Yeah, football is
It's not yours.
not my forte. No.
So, rugby?
I don't watch a lot of sport when I'm at home. I do enjoy watching rugby, and I'll be watching the Lions over the next few weeks. One of my best mates growing up used to play for Bath and Bristol, so I followed it with some interest.
Malik drives to mid-off, fielded by a tumbling Robinson. There is no run.
But yeah, I don't watch a load of sport when I'm at home.
Right. Other things to do.
Yeah, I'll have it on in the background, but I've never really supported a team.
Probably a good thing. In comes Robinson, bowls, and Malik. What was looking to do there? I don't know if that just was down the leg side and he rather missed out. Anyway.
Yeah, I see how people react when their team loses at football, and I just think it looks such hard work. I know Jack with Rangers or Dan Mousley for Warwickshire with Aston Villa.
In comes Carson, bowls, defended by
Just looks like it ruins their weekend when they lose.
Yeah, Mike was telling us that Dan's a big Villa fan.
Yeah, he's a very big Villa
ardent,
fan.
isn't he?
Yeah. So I knew he wears his heart on his sleeve with Villa as well, and you can certainly tell. When they made the Champions League last year, he came in blurting the music out in the speakers and said it was the best day of his life. So.
Big golden Carson, bowls, forward stretches Malik, plays with soft hands, and there is no run. Another over drifts by. 173, Malik yet to score. Hain on 19. George, it's been great to see you.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thanks very much for coming and having a natter. Good luck for the rest of the season and
Pleasure.
to Warwickshire. And, all the very best.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. George Garton, former Sussex, now Warwickshire player. Really glad to welcome George to the contract. And in fact, I know George was in a conversation with Richard Wilford, who's a colleague of Mike's, on a podcast recently, and that's available, I would presume, somewhere on BBC Sounds. So if you want to hear more from George and his career and what he's been up to, go on there and have a little natter. So we have got 42 overs left in the day. 170 for 3. James Coles is carrying on, and he's going to bowl to the right-handed Sam Hain. We're going to do a bit of jiggery-pokery with the microphones here as in comes Coles, played into the offside and picks up a single. One more to the total, 171 for 3. Here we go for a seamless changeover of mics.
Well, for a George to a Mike, anyway. Yes, what an interesting guy George Garton is.
Nice to.
Good cricketer, and there's plenty of time, I think, for him to get back into red ball cricket too. That would be a good thing. I think he has plenty to offer.
Coles is in, bowls to Malik, who clips this one down towards fine leg. They pick up a single. The lead. I'm sorry, I've been rather tardy in telling you what the lead is. It's now 55 as Malik is on his way with a couple of runs. Still 41 overs left in the day, but Sussex probably need a clatter of wickets here.
I think the overs are, at this point, right now, they're not entirely relevant. They might be relevant again later if wickets go down.
Coles in bowls and Malik plays stylishly into the offside, fielded by a tumbling Hudson Prentice, and there is no run.
Insofar as they're well ahead of the required number of overs to be bowled, and they've also erased their over rate deficit.
Yes, they have, which is a good thing for Sussex.
Which is another, just cleared that. Although I don't think that's the reason the spinners are bowling.
Coles in bowls, played in by Malik down the onside of the track, no run. I'm just sort of looking at the amount of overs left. There are 18 after this until a new ball will be available. I think if Warwickshire are still batting then, it's probably job done.
Yes, although they'll get there a bit quicker now.
Yes, they will. Coles in bowls, played onto the onside by Malik, and there is no run.
There is a slight peculiarity to the situation that's come from bowling the spinners. I'll talk about that at the end of this over.
Coles in again. Bowl. Malik plays stylishly into the covers, no run. End of another Coles over, who has now bowled 14 overs, 2 maidens, figures of 2 for 30. He's bowled very nicely, James Coles. Hain on 20, Malik on 2. Lead is 55, 41 overs remaining in the day.
I think it was quite a strong gust of wind then, because I don't know what that is on the side of the box here that I can see, but it wobbled about slightly worryingly. They've got so many overs bowled that, let's imagine there was a clatter of wickets now, and by 10 minutes after tea the last wicket fell. There would actually technically only be about 20 overs left in the day then, so I know that you'd have 15 for the last hour, but there would actually be rather fewer overs left to get them in. Warwickshire would to a certain degree would be able to do a real go slow.
Yes, they would. Yes.
We're some way off getting to that point anyway. We may not get to it at all. It would only be if wickets fell, but that would be an unusual situation if we get to it. The start of a new over from Carson, and Hain is flicking this off his hip and taking one from the first ball again. And Zen Malik, it will be a good thing for his promising career if he can bat some time here, because there's a particular skill to batting in a situation like this when the pressure is only on the batters and there are men round the bat and Malik is forward and defending, a position from which Warwickshire will feel they certainly should be able to see the game safe and should do it probably by tea if there are still only 3 or 4 wickets down by then. But they will have to play carefully to get there, because there is some assistance for the spinners. Carson is finding turn, but he's not troubling Malik's stylish defensive stroke. He's a different sort of stylist, Zen Malik. Early in his county career, although he's not a youngster as such, he's 27, but a latecomer to the senior game, made his championship debut only this season, signed pro towards the end of last season, a product of the South Asian Academy. That was pushed through quicker by Carson, and Malik got into position to defend it, but Carson saw something there that encouraged him. So playing on his 5th championship game, Zen Malik had 2 one-day Cup appearances last year, but otherwise these are his first games at this level. He played quite a lot of minor counties cricket for his native Staffordshire. In comes Carson wheeling in again, and Malik meets that with a defensive bat. And his style is different to Hain, but he's an attractive player, not an especially tall man, but plays wristily. There's a physio is coming on, or oh no, it's just to bring another helmet. Somebody's brought a helmet on for Tom Clark. Is the lucky winner of being the next close catcher.
Yes,
and he's going to go in close on the offside for the final ball of this Carson's 23rd over in this innings. He's 16th today. And he bowls to Malik, who pushes that in the direction of Clark at Silly Point, but it doesn't quite get to him before it bounces. So it's the end of the over. Malik is very watchful in making 2. That one maybe just hit a little bit higher up the bat than he would have wanted, but it didn't reach Clark. But I suspect when Carson bowls to him again in a few minutes' time, he's going to find that fielder is back.
Yes, tea is not today until 20 to 4. Now I've got to change. Who's going off the field? I think that's Daniel Ibrahim who's just trotted off the field. And who's this? Daniel. Oh, hang on. Daniel Hughes is coming back on. Did I miss a replacement on the field there? Perhaps I did. In which case, apologies. But it's going to be James Coles who's going to carry on. I guess I mean, it looks at this stage always inevitably this will be a draw, but just looking at the, for a bit of hope for Sussex, when Sam Hain was out in the first innings, Warwickshire were 340 for 4 and then bowled out for 415, and you did mention that maybe it's a longish tale for Warwickshire, and that just may make Sussex think, just 2 wickets might just change everything. Coles in, bowls to Hain, who's looked very solid for his 21.
Yeah, it's not a long tail in the way that we used to get with county teams a long time ago, but it's not quite as deep a batting order as they have had.
Coles in, bowls. Hain defends out in the offside. There is no run. I don't know if Chris Rushworth is still here or whether he's.
Well, that's another thing. Rushworth,
would he?
As far as I know, he is.
I mean, again, we don't know whether he's able to bat, or it may not even come to that. Coles in, bowls, clipped away by Hain, who's I've not seen much of Sam Hain back. Having watched him in the first innings, I'd have thought this was an un-Hain type innings. 22 off 95 balls. He's batted very responsibly and playing the situation very well.
Yes, I mean he does often score quicker than this, but he also plays in this, looks good in this kind of innings.
Yeah,
so
he does.
He can adjust. I think he's just quite happy for so long as he's batting, and as long as he is batting, Warwickshire are drawing this game.
Yeah, no, totally.
So he will have adjusted to that. He's not particularly one of the players who you do see players around if they haven't scored a run for 20 minutes are fidgeting. I don't really see that in Hain.
Coles in bowls, clipped away, nice shot by Malik, but too much width there from James Coles, and Malik played a stylish shot through the covers for 4 runs. He goes to 6.
It was a little bit wide and a little bit short, but it wasn't not that much of either, and
No.
Malik was very positive there.
Nice shot, wasn't it? Coles in again, bowls, and Malik defends down the offside. There is no run. Tom Clark is in there at silly mid-off, sort of scattered to get out of the way. He's probably only a couple of yards away from Malik in at silly mid-off. He's very, very close. Coles again, bowls. Malik defends onto the onside.
He really is close there.
Yes, he is.
Clark?
And another over drifts by, so 39 overs left to be bowled there, minimum of 39. But we are rattling through the overs. And at this rate, it might be sort of just 20 overs to go until tea or something like that. Either way, the two batters have a little natter in the middle of the pitch. Sussex are persevering with spin.
Well, they're looking for a few more deliveries to do what the one to Latham did.
Yes.
Because that one popped. Coles has picked up 2 wickets on each occasion in the first over of a new spell. But the ball he got Davies with was flighted and turned from, in a sort of a more orthodox way, for slow left armers dismissal from just outside the line of off stump, found the outside edge. 4 close catches plus the wicket keeper as Carson starts a new over, and Hain is thinking only of defending. But the dismissal of Latham with the ball that jumped, and he was caught at short leg. So occasionally the ball has misbehaved. And I mentioned earlier, Corey Rocketcholi told me last night he thought the pitch was divoting a bit. Hain is positive in defence here, in that he takes a couple of paces forwards to meet the pitch of this ball. He picks up the flight very quickly and was only ever thinking of defending. slip and a leg slip, short leg and silly point. And again, Clark is really very close there. His foot almost on the cut strip. Back goes Hain to a ball that's ever so slightly shorter. And he turns it off his front pad and away for one run. He's 23, but he's not overly fussed about the runs the way he's batting at the moment, Sam Hain. And the wind is certainly by far the strongest it's been in the whole game. Possibly just hear it. Malik indulges himself in a drive here, doesn't particularly time it, and hits it up to mid-off, but it certainly got the attention of Clark at silly point. Lifted his foot out of the way. In comes Carson, that's a bit flatter. And Malik plays it from the crease, turning it through mid-wicket. Crocombe is wandering about at extra cover, hasn't been required to bowl today. I wonder whether they might give him a run down the hill at some point. Sandhu only had 3 overs as well. This is floated up by Carson, and Malik is already in position to defend it. And it's the end of another over. 180 for 3, Warwickshire, with Hain 23 and Malik 6, and they lead by 62. Both these batters judging the flight of Jack Carson very accurately in that over.
Yes, indeed. Just looking at some of the scores in the other games, one of the things about all these drawn games in Division 1, that there's no real change in the table, is there? I mean, it looks like that Surrey are going to draw with Durham. Looks like Hampshire are going to draw with Worcestershire. Somerset Notts looks like it's... The only game there might be a result is at York, where Essex are 114 for 7, leading Yorkshire by just 23. So that could make a difference towards the bottom of the table. As Coles is in, bowls to Hain down the leg side. Smartly taken by Simpson. There was a stifled appeal from James Coles, but and an inquiry from Simpson, but none more than that. 180 for 3. Coles round the wicket, in and bowls, and forward comes Hain, fielded by Robinson, who's in there at slip. There are 2 slips in place, a short leg, a silly mid-off, a very, very close in. Tom Clark is right underneath Sam Hain's nose as in comes Coles, bowls, and Hain is forward and plays down the onside of the track. Coles wanders across and fields. There is no run.
I don't know whether what it tells us about anything to do with the... probably nothing to do with the ball, but of the 4 games in the second division, 2 have already been results, and the other 2 are still very much alive.
Coles in bowls and turned away by Hain. He could well get 3 or 4 runs here because Crocombe's got an awful long way to trudge around the boundary edge. Taken 2, they're coming back for a third. It's fielded away out in the distance. It's Tom Haines who got to the ball first. And 3 more to Hain, who goes to 26, the total to 183 for 3. Yeah, wind yesterday for Middlesex. Lancashire have already beaten Derbyshire.
Yeah, well, Lancashire's first win and Leicestershire's first defeat. The leaders, Leicestershire, quite soundly beaten by Middlesex by an innings yesterday.
Coles in again, bowls, clipped onto the onside by Malik, who picks up a comfortable single. Rather weary looking Henry Crocombe comes in. And fields.
He didn't do any bowling.
No, he hasn't bowled today. I don't know why he's looking weird. I say he hasn't bowled today. I thought he trudged after that previous one a bit. Perhaps. 184 for 3. But there are 2 games, as you say, still in play in the second division. Goals clips onto the leg side, sort of parried by Ibrahim, but short leg, and there is no run. Another over slips by. James Coles is now bowled. 16 overs, 2 maidens, taken 2 for 39. Warwickshire 184 for 3. They lead now by 66. Mike's got to run and do his update. I often do that and nearly forget. As I say, tea not due here for another 40 minutes. That's the rule on the final day. Now, are we going to get a change of bowling? That looks to me a little bit like No, it is Jack Carson. I thought for a minute it was going to be Finn Hudson-Prentice was going to bowl. I don't know why on earth I thought that. But it is going to be Carson with a slip, a leg slip and a short leg. Patches of blue sky around, but predominantly cloudy. For those of you just joining us here on BBC Radio Sussex and BBC WM, we lost 17 overs to a combination of bad light and then some rain earlier on today as Carson is in, bowls to Malik, who plays into the offside, and there is no run. A new ball would be available for Sussex in 13 overs time. If they could rattle through these overs, who knows? Have a quick dart with the new ball. Carson in, bowls forward comes Malik, plays down the track, there is no run. I'll rattle through the scores in the other games as we go through the over. In the test match at Edgbaston, glorious day at Edgbaston, India 155 for 2. England winning the toss and electing to bowl first. Carson in, bowls. Malik plays into the offside, fielded by Clark as silly mid-off, there is no run. Ben Brown, the former Sussex skipper, is leading from the front for Hampshire down at the Ageas Bowl today. Hampshire by 202 for 4. Taken 91 overs to get there, which doesn't matter in the course of the game as Carson bowls and Malik straight on the thigh pad. The ball bounces down to third man, fielded there by Tom Haynes, and they go through for a leg bye. See this delivery again. Nicely flighted off break. Good delivery by Carson. Comes off the pad. Eludes the close fielders. One more to the total. Yeah, Brown 57, Dawson 25. Hampshire 203 for 4. Not quite out of the woods. They still trail by 255. But those two hardened campaigners look like they could be batting Hampshire to safety. Down at Taunton, in comes Carson bowls, and down the wicket comes Hain, and with aggressive intent for the first time really, plays to mid on, fielded by Sandhu, and there is no run. Somerset 177 for 4, Tom Kohler-Cadmore 99 not out. Somerset leading knots by 47, so that one does look like it's heading for a draw. And also at the Oval where Durham are 125 without loss in their second innings. Emilio Gay 85 not out. Carson in, bowls to Hain, who turns onto the leg side, and there is no run. And Essex now in real trouble at York at the end of Jack Carson's over. He has bowled 25 overs, 5 maidens, no wicket for 49, 185 for 3 are Warwickshire. From that you need to deduct 118 and you'll get the lead, which is 67. Essex 114 for 8 in their second innings. Jordan Cox out for 55, Michael Pepper made 32, and the Essex lead is only 23, so that could be the one result that there's going to be in Division 1 of the Championship.
And they're going to be in quite a bit of trouble, Essex.
They are.
And unexpectedly so. I don't think any of us really would have had them in relegation trouble. If Worcestershire do manage to get a clatter of wickets going, and it's not out of the question they could, then Essex would be in a lot of trouble at the bottom. Because at the moment, Essex and Yorkshire, either side of, as it were, the dotted line for relegation, but Worcestershire, if they were to win, would jump. Well, they would jump a lot closer to Essex, certainly, and it's not out of the question Worcestershire could win. He's turned into the leg side for a quick single by Malik, and Hain arrives hurriedly at the striker's end as the throw hurtles in from Crocombe, and it knocks one of the close fielders, Clark, off his feet.
Yes, in fact, if Yorkshire do beat Essex, and that's beginning to look increasingly likely, they would go above Yorkshire. Yorkshire will go above Essex. Essex will be second bottom.
Yeah.
And they are the next visitors here to Hove after the next break.
Well,
no, I don't think anyone foresaw the season that they're having.
No, they're struggling. Cole's left arm over the wicket, and forward comes Hain to defend away into the offside.
Yes, I mean, Essex, you always think sort of perennial sort of top four, aren't
Usually
they?
close,
know.
challenging for a while. Simon Harmer usually wins them a couple of games, so
Yeah.
interesting there that they should have had such a testing time.
But it could be virtually no change at the top. In fact, I think it'll probably be as you were with all the other games being drawn, if indeed that has come to fruition.
Coles is bowling down the leg side, and Hain doesn't even shape to play that, just walks away from it once he's picked up the line. Hampshire 210 for 4 in 92 overs of their second innings. Really only Ben Brown and Liam Dawson that are holding Worcestershire up. This is driven away into the covers for no run. Until that partnership, Worcestershire were well on the way, so they may still break through again. Hain is padding up to the next ball from Coles, who is trying this. This is the first over in which he's come over the wicket. He's been wheeling in left arm round the wicket and bowling very tightly. He slings this one in a bit quicker, and Hain picks it up and defends it. That's one of his variations, Coles, isn't it? When he bowls a quicker delivery, it comes a bit round arm.
Yes.
But it's a useful variation. He's quite a handy bowler. He's a very promising cricketer all round. But as well as being a stylish batter, as we saw on Monday and Tuesday, he's a more than useful left-arm spinner to have in the team. So he's going to be a good cricketer here for a long time to come, I'm sure.
Sussex were to rattle through these overs here, Mike. 68 to go. Sorry, 68 gone with this ball. 12 more overs with the new ball. That's going to probably get us pretty much to tea.
Yes.
The lead would be, say, 80 or 90. New ball take.
Yeah.
Well, I'm clutching at straw. I'm trying to find ways that it may not be a draw. Intrigue, actually. Just break off. In comes Carson and bowls. Forward comes Malik, paid into the offside, no run. I think you were doing an update when George Garton first came in, actually. I said, what was the perception of the game? And he hinted that had they not lost those 17 overs and Warwickshire had got themselves some sort of a lead, that there might have been a declaration, which was interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the question. They would have done that.
Carson in bowls, pulled by Malik to wideish mid on no run, particularly with the off spinner who bowled so well in the first innings. They might have just thought, let's just see how we go.
Yeah, if they'd have got to 150 plus ahead after tea, then I could have imagined them saying, well, let's have 20 overs.
Carson in bowls, driven them back down the track. There is no run. Rather tired looking Jack Carson goes down to field. Doesn't field it cleanly, and there is no run.
I think that they think brightly, Warwickshire, at the moment. There's a nice bounce about them. I like the way they've mentally approached this game.
Carson in bowls. Malik plays onto the onside, no run. And George was saying that Westy is a very positive coach.
I think he's a really interesting guy in Westwood. He's not. When he's interviewed, he's reasonably guarded. He's a very friendly fellow.
Carson, bright sunshine now. Bowls. Malik turns onto the onside. No run.
I don't think he's. Some people really couldn't perform when they were interviewed. I know Ian Westwood isn't that. He was a jolly good captain of Warwickshire a few years ago, at a time where it really, as I recall, wasn't a great team. But he captained them really well.
Carson in bowls, played onto the onside, fielded at short leg by Dan Ibram. End of the over, 186 for 3. Malik on 8. Hain is on 26.
I remember he did the job for 2 or 3 seasons, and then Warwickshire, if memory serves, won a title a couple of years later. And I remember a lot of us thinking and saying at the time that quite a bit of the spade work to improve Warwickshire was done under Westwood's leadership before he handed the baton on.
Interesting.
So he was, for those who don't recall him as a player, he was a Warwickshire opener for quite a while, and he was left-hander, but it was quite a stubborn opener. He could open up and play more stylishly, but more of his notable innings were, dogged efforts, as I remember, I remember carrying his bat once on a turning pitch at Old Trafford, trying to rescue the team. He was a proper battler at the top of the order, and he made the very most. It was an impressive. I always thought he was an impressive person. Coles is starting a new over, and Hain is padding up the first ball. So he's been around on the coaching staff for a while. He sort of succeeded Mark Robinson after they did a fairly lengthy review of last season. Coles bowls again, and Hain defends. I think I was saying on the first day, the surprising thing about it wasn't that they had the review or that they chose to make a change. If you have a review, you presumably are thinking of making a change. Hain drives away into the covers and doesn't get a run. The surprising thing was that the change happened in February.
Yes. I mean,
well into the second half of the winter, so they didn't leave very long for Ian Westwood to, make any particular changes he might have wanted to as the number one. Hain defends into the leg side, so he was sort of promoted up internally. But they won 2 of the first 4 games in the championship, and there are some games where they maybe underperformed. There was another one that they probably would have beaten Worcestershire if it hadn't rained. They probably would have lost to Notts if it hadn't rained. So, they seem to me on course to finish about halfway up the first division, and I think that would be quite good. Hain turns this away off his pads for 1 run. We're going to be at 2 runs, in fact, because it's chased out towards the boundary by Carson, and there's plenty of time to get back for 2. So, yeah, I mean, obviously they won the championship under Mark Robinson a few years ago. Didn't have a great season last year, and there was a feeling pervaded that for whatever reason things had just gone a little bit dry, and and sometimes it leads to a change, and it happens. And we heard Mark speaking here the other day, and very much energised by his new project as he was explaining to you. This is turned through mid-wicket for another 2 by Hain off the front foot. So 190 for 3. But Ian Westwood's taken it on, and we'll see in the fullness of time what changes are made. So I think this year, I'd say inherited it. He was part of the coaching staff that was preparing the squad, but we might see in the fullness of time how things change if there's a Westwood reign, if you want to put it that way.
Yes.
Whether there are changes for next season. But I think this season they are. I like the way they're playing the cricket. I like the way they've approached this game. Sussex have made the running in the game, but Warwickshire tried to make the running on the first day and lost maybe a few too many wickets. I suspect they would have hoped to score more than 415, but I think they've still been busy and competitive.
Yes, it's been a good game. It looks like
It's been interesting.
Yes, it has been an interesting game. It looks like it's drifting towards a draw now, as Carson is in around the wicket, bowls to Malik, who clips onto the onside. In fact, he's going to get 4 runs, more than a clip. Nicely played by Zem Malik, and the ball goes away through wideish mid-wicket for 4 runs. He goes to 12, 194 for 3. I've talked to George about T20. I've got this bee in my bonnet that I do believe if you win your group and you dominate your group, you should go straight to finals day in T20. I think it's a shame that you can get knocked out by a side who might have squeaked into 4th place. Now, I know the financial constraints, that's why sides like to win it, but I just think it doesn't feel quite right to me. Anyway, Carson loses his run-up, and Andy agrees. He says, I think 3rd and 4th pale eliminator, winner of that place, 2nd place for place in final day. Yeah, there must be a way of doing it. I think Warwickshire won their group comfortably last year.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row, there we are. Carson bowls, nice shot by Malik, who's timed this beautifully away through the covers. Who's that in hot pursuit out there? That is...
Rogers is the...
Henry Rogers, so someone has gone off the field. Henry Rogers. Well spotted, Mike. 2 more to Malik. He goes to 14, 196 for 3. The lead is 78, so somebody's off the field for Sussex. Might be Ollie Robinson. In comes Carson, wheeling away, bowls played into the offside by Malik. Again, there is no run. Field is clustered around the back. Apologies, I haven't described the field in the last few overs, but there's a silly mid-off, a slip, a leg slip, a short leg. the lead. I mean, they're not quite out of the woods, Warwickshire, but it will take some, a hat-trick and make it interesting. Carson in bowls, Malik defends down the offside of the track, and there is no run, so thank you, Andy. And David got in touch. We were hoping that we might be able to speak to John Philby, the Sussex chair, today, who, with some possible news around the restructuring or exactly where the discussions are about the restructure for next season. Comes Carson bowls, plays down the side of the track, and there is no run. And John has spoken today, and there's nothing at this stage really that he wants to discuss. So what we do know is that negotiations between the counties, the ECB, the stakeholders are continuing, and hopefully there'll be some news soon. So no John today. Not avoiding anyone, he's just not got anything that they want to say at this current time. And I would imagine anyway that at the end of Carson's over, Jack Carson has bowled 27 overs, 6 maidens, and the scoreboard as rather unhelpfully shows it's tea at 20-4. I'll come back to that in a minute. But I would imagine that discussions at clubs will go of a discussion with the members, and the members will be involved in that. I would imagine that at most clubs the board would make the decision, or maybe in some clubs maybe they would go with what the members want. But you would have thought that those discussions will need to take place fairly soon, because we're into July now. The next 3 months are going to go pretty quickly. I'm sure sides will want to know by the end of this season what the structure is for next season.
Well, if you're in the second division, you want to know what you're playing for.
Totally.
As much as anything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are we playing?
Yeah, and also, the fixtures come out in November, which isn't that. I don't know. I mean, I was in Newcastle last week, wherever it was, Durham, and there were leaflets out on the desk advertising Christmas parties. Right. So I mean, I know people laugh, but the time does go very, and the fixtures come out mid-November, Mike.
Yeah, and look, this isn't league cricket. It's not like where are we going next week?
Yeah, totally.
We try
it's a plan.
And get a team together and sort it out. This is professional cricket.
Totally.
So, it's a bit different to that.
So sure, when there is any news, John will come on and talk, because he is very good like that and very open and respectful.
Coles comes around the wicket and starts a new over, and this is flicked away through mid-wicket again by Hain. He did that twice at the end of the last Coles over for 2 runs. This time he's going to get 3. And he looks perfectly content playing that stroke in that manner and challenging Coles to do something different. But before he can do that, he's going to have to bowl to Malik. And this is a useful inning for Malik, for a player still taking his early steps at this level.
Yep.
244 championship runs in 8 innings before this game, at a healthy average of 40, an unbeaten 100 against Surrey. And this is punched off the back foot. He's going to get runs out wide of mid-off. It's 1 run. The 100 against Surrey was on a very, very flat pitch at Edgbaston, but nevertheless, he made them, and made them quickly. He made a very good unbeaten 49 to help win a tight game at Headingley when Warwickshire won there. That was on his first-class debut. And there was still a bit to do when he came to the wicket. But his runners have finished it with a flourish as well. He's a 6 to win the game, which is a good feeling on debut. So it will
absolutely
help him out if he can further his claims for more cricket, if he can bat for the rest of the afternoon. Hain turns the next one to mid-wicket and now waits again for Coles, and he's stretching forward to defend. Looking unhurried, as he so often does, Sam Hain. .200 for 3. Warwickshire leading by 82. Coles round the wicket, and Hain makes a little bit of room and hits this away with a cross bat to the deep point boundary and takes a fairly ambled single. 201. With 15, little over 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just under 20 minutes to go until tea. So maybe another 5 overs at this rate. Coles comes round the wicket, and Malik defends into the onside, and to the end of the over. I appreciate they think that the spinners are giving them the most help. I wonder whether they might just have a couple of overs with one of the seamers to change the rhythm.
Yeah, I see John Simpson is sort of trying things. He's nattering away there to Tom Haynes and a couple of others. I mean, the new ball would be available to Sussex in 8 overs' time. They're gonna, let's face it. Funny things happen in cricket. Wickets do fall. I mean, it seems unlikely, but if Sussex took the new ball and suddenly Sandhu takes a hat trick or Robinson, and Sussex are left to chase 130 in 11 overs or something ridiculous. So
it's a small possibility, but it's a possibility nonetheless.
Yeah. And you never quite know, but you have to say at this, and certainly they will have a crack with the new ball. There's no question about that. For maybe half a dozen overs, and if it brings some rewards, we'll see where we go. But you've still got still Ed Barnard to come, Kai Smith to come as well. So there's much work for Sussex to do. But at this stage, it does look like on BBC WM and BBC Radio Sussex that this game is edging towards a draw. And then we have a little break for T20 cricket. And then we're back into the 2 more championship matches by the end of July. Carson in bowls, plays into the offside, there is no run, and then you'll pretty much be off on football duty, Mike. I bet there's some pre-season Wolverhampton Wanderers friendlies, aren't there, and various things happening.
Shoot, there are.
And then it also, I think
I find pre-season a little bit hard to get excited about. I appreciate some people love it, and I'm all for it if that's your thing, but I'm afraid
I struggle to get into football until the cricket season finishes. So I've been perfectly honest. But anyway, that's just me. Carson in bowls, and with a flick of the wrist, Hain plays onto the onside, picks up a single. He goes to 35, 202. Oh, sorry, 200. Yes, 202.
I think there was so much for someone doing sort of particular what I'm asked to do. And by the way, it's no hardship doing any of it, I know. But so much of the cricket season is now taken up by the football season. I can't really afford to think in that way, but I know what you mean.
Casting bowls to Malik, who drives nicely. That's going to go away. I don't think it's going all the way for 4, or will it? Yes, it will. Henry Rogers is fielding at mid-off. We think Ollie Robinson is off the field. Drilled that one away. Rogers got a hand to it, but couldn't stop it. And it's gone away for 4 runs.
Yeah, I thought Rogers had just taken some of the way off that.
Yes, I did.
Turned Eddie hand.
So Malik goes to 19. Yes, there we are. 206 for 3. The lead is now 88. Carson again, wicketless in this innings. In and bowls. Malik again drives. That's going to be 4 more, I think. Rogers is in hot pursuit towards the boundary edge. Is he going to pull it up? He's chasing hard. Will he get there? Will he get there? He throws himself. Oh, well fielded. Yes, he prevents a boundary being taken, but come back for 3 runs. Jack Carson just with the 1 wicket in the match, which was the wicket of Ethan Bamber, actually. Right at the end of the Warwickshire first innings. 3 more to Malik, he goes to 22, 209 for 3. Carson in again, bowls, and Hain flicks this away through mid-wicket, and the Warwickshire batter's got an air here of almost job done, I think, Mike, if I'm being perfectly honest.
I think they think they're pretty much there.
Yeah, lead is 92. 30 overs left in the day after this. And maybe the pitch hasn't spun quite as much as everybody hoped it might. That was certainly the feeling from day one. Fielders clustered around the bat. Carson in bowls, and Malik defends onto the onside. Another over slips by. That's the 73rd over. So we've got another, let's look at the digital clock. We've got another 14 minutes until tea. We've got another 7 overs until a new ball would be available. Which I think would be the final throw of the dice. But it looks pretty... There's 1 or 2 players sort of warming up. Daniel Hughes is going through some warm-up exercises. Gurinder Sandhu, more relevantly, perhaps, is going through some warm-up exercises. I do hope in these situations... I'm not a big fan. I'm a bit of a misery when it comes to... sort of wicket keepers taking off pads and that sort of thing. I don't like that, and it didn't happen up at Durham last week, which I was pleased to see. And I hope it doesn't happen here, because I always think that it does become slightly farcical. I know rules is rules. You often find when you get to a situation, it's not quite there yet, but if you did where, the captains are able to say, actually, this is going nowhere, but, we have to abide by the rules. Now, we are going to get, it's going to be James Coles. So Sussex are still looking for these wickets. They've got, this is an elliptic field. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 men in an arc on the offside, 5 men. Well, James Cole's ever ball to a field like this before. 5 men almost in a wall on the offside.
Well, we had some funky field fun yesterday.
Yes.
It's not easy to say when you put your teeth in. And it's about time they did the same. So yes, it's suggested yesterday at one point that Phil led to John Simpson. They're all staring at Sam Hain. It's like the world's scariest job interview. Look at that panel there. Coles is going to have a bowl, and Hain, confronted with it's looked like a wall to defend a free kick almost, and he punches this up to Hughes, who is the straightest of the silly mid-offs. And Coles, presumably he's going to bowl quite a long way outside the off stump, and Hain is not looking flustered. He's probably slightly amused by all this, so he just defends. So there's a slip and a short leg. Then there are 5 of them. They're
yes.
One obscuring the other.
Yes.
Like a 5-man cordon
yes.
between. They're all reasonably close in. Between sort of cover point quite close and mid off, but only about 15 yards from the bat. All of them in a ring. There they are. If you're looking on the screen, you can see them now. And Hain, that's a very wide one. He lets that go. So it's almost like they're grouped together for catching, sort of catching practice.
Yes.
But a very peculiar. Well, it's worth a try at this point. Coles floats this one up, trying to tempt Hain, who is imposing a self-denying ordinance. It's one for those of you doing A-level history. And he taps it back on the offside. That was in my high-level history, the self-denying ordinance.
Yeah.
But it was so long ago, it almost was history itself. Coles bowls, and he's defended back up the pitch. It's the end of the over.
Ooh.
210 for 3.
Oh, look at Jack Carson.
Lead by 92. Jack Carson fancies himself as a footballer.
He did about 20 keepy uppies there, Mike. Sorry, I was impressed by Jack's footballing technique. So we've got 6 overs to go until a new ball would be available, although the relevance of any new ball is beginning to diminish as time goes by. We've got 10 minutes to go until tea. There's a kind of air of inevitability here at Hove that this is drifting towards a draw, despite the efforts of both sets of players, it has to be said, because probably if we hadn't lost those 17 overs today, Warwickshire, well, they might just be thinking, well, we'll get a lead of a couple of hundred, and we'll just. I don't think they'd have given Sussex any hope of chasing the score down, because we've still got a lot of cricket to be played in this county championship season. So Carson from the Cromwell Road end down the hill, bowls to Malik, who plays nicely to mid-off, fielded by Rogers, and there is no run.
I think I am going to have to adopt a slightly contrarian position, which I'm not usually prone to do.
You could do that, Mike.
On this round of championship games.
Carson in bowls. Oh, Malik plays deftly to sort of leg slip. There is no run.
I don't deny there are, at the very least, discussion points, to say issues with the ball. But I do observe, out of the 9 games, that they're by no means all dead.
No. Carson in bowls. Malik defends down the offside. No run.
In that there have been 2 positive results already. There are 3 games that are very much alive, and another 2 where the team should be safe, but they're not totally immune to a collapse.
Carson in bowls, played by Malik onto the onside. Ibrahim fields or deflects the ball at short leg, and there is no run.
So I would say there are only 2 games now where there's no pressure, no jeopardy at all. Possibly 3, maybe Durham you'd say are no longer in jeopardy. I think Hampshire still are, with 6 wickets left. But the game at Taunton, this game, and perhaps the one at the Oval, there isn't really a sense of jeopardy there.
Malik plays to mid-on. There is no run. A couple of emails, which I will read very quickly. My apologies to John Simpson's dad, Jack, who wrote it on Monday. And I didn't see his email, Jack, so I apologise about that. As in comes Carson Bowles. Malik defends down the offside of the track, and there is no run. Jack's saying they're in the middle of a heat wave over in Spain, where he spends much of his time. Jack and Karen Simpson, if you are listening, apologies. I've just seen your email from Monday. That's very bad of me. Talking about Surrey batting on and on in their game against Durham and the Kookaburra ball. And you must have been talking yesterday, I would imagine, about pigeons, I would imagine, because Richard has been in touch and he said the collective noun for pigeons is a litter, a kit or a loft of twickens.
A loft of pigeons, yes, I suppose so.
No good.
There was one point, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but Sam Hain ended up sort of diving on the field into a group of pigeons to try and scare them away, and they more or less stayed. They took no notice of it.
Now, I'm not quite sure what the delay is here.
You might be waiting for some protective gear for somebody. I don't know.
So it's still going to be James Coles. So 5 overs until a new ball, and how long have we got? Is that 32? That says on the clock. 8 minutes until tea, or 33?
33, it's just tea.
7 minutes until tea. So Sussex won't be docked. In fact, they're now +6 on the over rate, so that's good. Coles in bowls, clipped away to mid-on by Hain, who has very quietly moved on to 36.
No boundaries in 36, which tells you what it's been, what sort of an innings it's been. He's just been content to nudge the ball into gaps.
Coles in again, bowls, and now he does play firmly to backward point now. And Essex have lost a wicket at York, now 126 for 9, so leading Yorkshire by 35, so that looks very much like a Yorkshire win. A welcome win for Yorkshire, but a result that will push Essex into the relegation zone, which Mike and I were saying didn't look likely, or certainly from the outside anyway.
Tell you what, they'll be sweating about the game at Southampton as well, because if Worcestershire can break that long partnership, that one's not over.
Yeah, Hampshire through Ben Brown, the former Sussex skipper, hanging on for a draw. Yes, looks like we're heading for a draw here, Adam, with Warwickshire 210 for 3 in their second innings. They lead by 92. A couple of wickets for James Coles, but Sussex not helped today by losing 17 overs earlier in the day for a combination of rain and bad light. Also looks like it's heading for a draw at the Oval, where Durham in their second innings are 172 without loss, still trailing Surrey by 286, but almost certain to be a draw there. And looks similarly down at Canterbury, where Kent in their second innings 72 for 2, trailing Northamptonshire by 84 runs. Finally, in the Test match, India batting first are 178 for 3 at Edgbaston. That's a little odd. James Coles is leaving the field. He bowled 3 balls of his over.
Mid-over. It wasn't really obvious what happened either.
Well, it was odd, wasn't it? Because there was a big discussion before he bowled the over, and he's taken his glasses and his jumper, and what if he's not feeling very well or something?
He would play in the T20s, I assume.
Yes.
James Coles, so that's slightly concerning.
Well, he's just wandering off, isn't he?
Maybe he isn't. Maybe he's not feeling really well.
Well, there was a debate before the over was bowled, wasn't there? And he's bowled those 3 deliveries, and he's walking off. I mean, it doesn't look. He's not limping. Right? So
No.
I can imagine. Perhaps he's just not feeling great.
Sandhu has taken the ball, and it very much looks as though he's going to see if he can bowl 3 balls of off spin as well.
Yes.
Or maybe leg spin. I don't know.
We'll see James Coles here. He's got off the field. He's gone straight up. Straight up the pavilion steps. It is going to be Gurinder Sandhu. So,
Playfair points out that it says right arm fast medium, occasional off break. Yeah. So it's not quite necessarily as Odd as it might seem.
Well, his first ball was a full toss.
Yes.
That was
That was a very occasional off break.
that was a very occasion. Yeah, that wasn't a great delivery. Anyway, he goes for a single. Hain to 36. 211 for 3.
I suppose you could have... Oh,
Sandu in again. Bowls. Forward comes Malik. Plays down the onside of the track. Again, there is no run. So we've got to get one more over until tea. Sandu again. In and bowl. If you leave after 3 deliveries, it's a bit odd if always bowled, but
also, any Sussex fan not following the game live but looking at the scorecard will assume that Sandu broke down in the middle of an over.
That's very true.
And be very worried. I mean, they might be equally worried when they find out that James Coles did, but I suspect that your shout that he was maybe not feeling very well might be right, but we'll find out in the fullness of time. But
we will.
Yes, you can have a philosophical discussion as to whether a full toss is an off break at all. Certainly didn't do any off break.
Well, we're going to have one more over before tea. I think we can rest fairly safely.
Maybe he's gone to brew up.
Maybe.
Gone to warm the pot.
It's been a long session, this, hasn't it? Best part of 2.5 hours.
Yes. Perhaps he's the designated tea maker.
Yes. Or he's forgotten to make the sandwiches or something.
Warm the pot first. That's the controversy about tea making, isn't it? He's padded up by Hain. First ball of a new over from Carson, and he's not interested, just pads up.
A very boring story of mine back in my village cricket days when we were all fielding one day and someone suddenly said, well, hang on, who's doing teas today? It was sort of 20 to 5 and no one had turned up, and suddenly the secretary was at mid-off and he realised that he was meant to be doing teas and he'd forgotten.
Oh dear. So,
yeah.
Well, it ran to the petrol station.
It was, yeah, down to the local shop.
Oh, splendid, well played. This is flicked away by Hain, and he's going to get one to mid-wicket. I don't know whether it's the same in this area, but the tee is a relatively rare thing.
Yeah, it's a real shame. Since COVID.
There are a few clubs that still do it.
Yeah, it is a shame. I that was always a big part of it for me.
Yes. Not so many now. Back goes Malik. Punches this through extra cover, and he's going to get probably 2 runs. Crocom's on his way round field, and Malik goes to 24. Warwickshire leading by 96 at 214 for 3. Slip leg, slip silly point, and short leg. And Malik avoids them all and hits this up to Sandu, and he bounces a little awkwardly off an old wicket end. But he fields it. Carson spins himself a catch in one hand to the other and draws Malik half forward in defence. So we are 1 ball away from tea, and Warwickshire, having reached tea with only 3 wickets down, I think will feel pretty safe. With a 96 run lead. Carson, they'll add to it before tea because Carson's drifted onto the leg stump, and Malik picks off a run to backward square leg, and that is the end of the session, with Malik going to 25 and Hain is 38, and Warwickshire losing Davis and Latham in that session, but have added, where were they at lunch? They were 108 when we went off for rain this morning, so they added 107 runs in 44 overs, but importantly they lost only 2 wickets, and they are all set up to secure a draw possibly as early as 10 to 5.
Yes indeed, it's going to take something quite remarkable for that not to happen, and despite the fact we could discuss the Kookaburra ball till the cows come home, can't we, what sort of impact it's having, but I mean this is a pitch which, the general feeling has been it's been a decent pitch. I don't think anyone's looking at the ground and saying it's a road, because it isn't, but so something is happening here which is making this, at the end of the day we have only had 23 wickets in the match. across
Yeah.
the 4 days. So I'm sure the coaches will have something to say about it. I mean, it is the hot topic of conversation. And so Mike and I are going to have a cup of tea and a bit of cake. There is some cake left. There's still some Margaret's cake left from the first day. But we're going to take a breather and we'll be back with you just after 4 o'clock for what will probably be the last 45 minutes of the game. But thank you for getting in touch. Thanks for your emails throughout the afternoon. Thank you for George Garton, who came and had a nice chat with us. And Mike and I will speak to you anon.
At Sussex Cricket, we're always pushing the limits. Searching for that extra edge, that winning formula.
It's about the small gains, the marginal improvements, and the dedication to perfection.
But the pursuit of victory doesn't stop on the pitch.
Behind the scenes, WebTrends Optimise is working their magic, optimising our digital journeys, making sure every click counts.
From filling the stands with roaring fans to getting them kitted out in their Sharks gear, WebTrends Optimise helps us connect with our community.
Because nothing fuels our players more than a packed house, a sea of Shark shirts, the energy of our incredible fans.
On the pitch and online, it's a team effort. Sussex Cricket and WebTrends Optimise.
Optimise for victory.
Well, welcome back to Hove, where we are just about to enter the final session of this game between Sussex and Warwickshire. I'm Adrian Harms from BBC Radio Sussex. Mike Taylor from BBC WM will be joining me shortly as the players meander down the steps at the far end of the ground. It's now a glorious afternoon here. That wasn't the case earlier on today when we lost 17 overs to a combination of initially bad light and then a bit of drizzle, then some heavier rain, and we took an early lunch. However, whether that's affected the outcome of this match in any way is highly debatable, because Warwickshire in their second innings are 215 for 3 and very much on their way to saving this game. They lead by 97 with Sam Hain on 38 and Zen Malik on 25. The wickets to go down, 2 of them taken by James Coles. He accounted for Alex Davies for 58, Tom Latham for 69. But in reality, unless something very dramatic happens in the next half hour or so, this game will be ending in a draw. Perhaps the one vague, distant hope of any result occurring here is that a new ball would be available for Sussex in 3 overs time. Sussex were to take 6 for none or something ludicrous. Who knows? Perhaps we would get a result in the game, but it does look highly unlikely. And so far, just 23 wickets have fallen in the match, and that's something we've debated long and hard throughout the game about whether it's the ball. Certainly not the pitch, because the feeling about the pitch has been that this has been a good pitch with a bit of help in it if the bowlers have put it in the right area, a bit of spin as well. But so far, it hasn't produced, or doesn't look like it's going to produce a result. So it looks to me like Daniel Ibrahim is going to have his first bowl of the match, in fact his first bowl of the season. From this, the C end of the ground. Centurion last week up at Durham made 36 I think it was yesterday. There we are. So Dan Ibrahim is going to get a bowl bowling his medium paces. And I'm just seeing who's on the field here for Sussex, as to whether there is a likely. Gurinder Sandhu is sort of wandering around, he's got his hands in his pockets. Ollie Carter is on the field, the Sussex 12th man, so somebody is off the field. Not entirely sure who that is. Henry Rogers was on the field before lunch as well, before tea. So we'll see how this pans out over the next 45 minutes or so, but very much looks like we're heading towards a draw. 26 overs remaining on the scoreboard away to our right hand side. As I say, lovely afternoon now, lots of blue sky around, and Dan Ibrahim is on his way, running away from us to bowl to the right-handed Malik, who lets that go outside the off stump, taken by John Simpson, and there is no run. Other games around the country in Division 1 seem to be in similar vein, that the draw seems to be the most likely result in all of them, apart from the game at York, where Yorkshire need just 41 runs to beat Essex at tea. Essex bowled out in their second innings for 131. They are not having a good season, not Essex, and they are the next visitors to Hove in a couple of weeks' time. As in comes Ibrahim, bowls, and Malik drives beautifully through the offside for 4 runs. There's barely a ripple of applause for what was a very fine shot, driving the ball away through the covers. He goes to 29. The significance of that is it extends the Warwickshire lead to 101, and also brings up the 50 partnership between these two. There was just a glimmer of hope for Sussex when Tom Latham was dismissed by James Coles. At that stage the lead was only 50 odd, but since then these two have batted very sensibly, in particular Sam Hain, who's batted for 92 balls for his 135 balls. In comes Ibrahim, bowls to Malik, who's at it again, driving away through the offside. That's going to go for 4 runs as well, beautifully timed through the offside, punched through the covers. Lovely shot. He goes to 33 after 68 balls, and that's a lovely looking shot, stylish shot from Malik.
I think he is a bit of a stylist.
Yeah, he sort of punches the ball. It just all looks very correct. Sam Hain, I made a complete Horlicks of that, I'm sorry. 38 of 135 balls. And he's leaning on his bat at the non-strikers, ending glorious South Coast Sunshiners. Ibrahim is in bowls, and Malik turns in on the leg side to pick up the 9th run of the over. He goes to 34, 224 for 3. Here on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC WM, Adrian Harms, Mike Taylor, your commentary team. Just very quickly in the other games in this division, Durham 185 without loss at the Oval in their second innings, so they're going to salvage a draw. Emilio Gay 133 not out. Somerset 197 for 4, leading Notts by 67. Ibrahim in bowls and turned away by Hain through backward square leg for a single. He goes to 39. Total 225 for 3. Important stat, the lead 107. And Hampshire look like they're going to bat out for a draw. In fact, say it's raining. No, they're in play. I apologise. 241 for 4 are Hampshire. Ben Brown, the former Sussex skipper, on 76. Liam Dawson on 41. Looks like they're leading Hampshire to a draw as in comes Ibrahim. Bowls, cut away firmly by Malik. Picks up a single to the sweeper on the cover boundary. That's the end of Dan Ibrahim's over and over that cost 11 runs. 226 for 3. Malik 35. Hain on 39. The lead is 108 for Warwickshire. The scoreboard shows there's 25 overs remaining in the match. If Sussex were to take a new ball, it would be available in 2 overs time. I'm just looking at who's going to be bowling from the Cromwell Road end. It looks, is that going to be Jack Carson? Yes, I think it is. Who's going to be wheeling away 30 overs, 7 maidens, 0 for 68. I mean, on the assumption this game is drifting towards a draw, Mike, what would be the positives that Warwickshire take from this performance?
I think there are some batters who look like they were in form, quite a few, although maybe we'll feel, I think they might feel justifiably they could have got more than 415. There were a few scored runs, including Hain himself. He might have thought he'd left a few behind, even though he made a very good 87, which was terrific to watch, and Rob Yates played very well for 93. I thought the bowling was honest throughout. Rocky Choli worked it out, and he's a cricketer who is certainly his teammates have taken to it, and he seems to be enjoying himself. And they've done a perfectly disciplined job in this second innings. The big minus, of course, is losing Rushworth to injury. Round the wicket comes Carson in bright sunshine now, the best conditions of the day, and Malik again playing that what is quickly becoming a trademark punchy stroke. Either off the front or the back foot. This time it was off the back foot, but he does play in that manner. And hits it away through the offside for 1 run. Seems particularly strong in that region. And even him getting a few runs here is a good thing. But all the batters looked in a degree of form at some point in the game. Forward comes Hain and defends. So, yeah, I think that this is okay. You come away from home to a Sussex team that's been generally playing quite good cricket this season and get a solid draw. I think that's not too bad. Yeah, the Sussex team who haven't lost here since Paul Farbrace took over. Keeps them, if the game had taken had another day and gone to a natural course, maybe Sussex would be slightly in front in it, but I think Warwickshire will be content enough. I'm going to get back into, because if they are going to qualify in the Blast this time, they have got a bit of work to do in the next few days. This is pushed into the leg side by Hain, but he very cleverly only pushed it gently. I mean, it looks as though he's going to hit it straight to the fielder and just steered it wide enough for him to get 1 run. Do many of this side play in the Brass, Mike? Let's have a look. Davis, Latham has been, Hain certainly. Carson bowls, and this is pulled off the back foot by Malik, and he's probably going to get 4 up to the front of the players' pavilion. Yep, pops over the rope now. So 232 for 3. Davis, Latham, Hain, Barnard. Smith has been playing in them as a batter, although generally batting at number 8. That's about it. They're the only ones who would most likely play or have played in most of the games up to now. Yates, maybe. Forward comes Malik, turns this one, rolls his wrists over the top of it and guides it into the leg side. So they've got a few who are, at the moment, are specialists. George Garton, who was in with us. Hassan Ali is playing in the T20 games, and he's tremendous fun to watch. So yeah, the team will change a bit. Malik defends on the last ball of the over. So 232-4-3. Danny Briggs, of course, who's coming back here next year, isn't he? As
he is.
Player coach, he'll come. I would imagine will play. He's played in all the games so far. Moeen Ali obviously will come in as well. Jake Lintott, the wrist spinner, and Dan Mosley, I think, who is here. We've seen him on the field a bit, but I would expect them all to play. So yeah, about 5 of this current team and the rest, as I've just mentioned.
I'm just thinking for Sussex, certainly Hughes, Clark, Coles, Simpson, Carson, Robinson, Crocombe, probably 7 of this side will play. It will depend on injuries, because Harrison Ward, I have to ask Paul Farbrace a little later where Sussex are with injuries for T20. Tom Alsop out of this game, and Harrison Ward wouldn't have played in this game, but whether he'll play in the T20, who knows. In comes Ibrahim, bowls, and good delivery, and he was beaten outside the off stump, taken smartly by Simpson standing up to the stumps. There is no run.
He hasn't been beaten very often today.
No. A new ball would be available to Sussex after this over. I can see Henry Rogers is still on the field, and Ollie Carter was on as well. So that means Ollie Robinson is off, and someone else is off as well. We'll try and see who that is in a moment. As in comes Ibrahim, bowls and clipped away through square leg, fielded out in the distance by Henry Crocombe, and there is one more to the total, which goes to 233 for 3. Malik on 40, Hain on 41.
Coles, I imagine he's still off, is he?
Oh yes, well remembered, Mike. Yes,
poorly?
yes, indeed. He went off before. Something I need to ask Paul Farbrace about. Thank you for reminding me. In fact, I need to make a note of a couple of these
Yeah, well,
things.
hopefully he's all right, because it would be a very important member of the Blast team, I should think.
Very important. Ibrahim in and bowls. And Malik defends onto the onside. No run. Yes, thank you for reminding me, Mike. I need to make a little note to ask Paul Farbrace about that at the end. As Mike was saying, is the best part of the day now. I'm just chatting away. If you think of coming to Hove on Saturday, it is a double header.
Yeah.
Sussex women in action against Middlesex, and the men in action against Hampshire. Ibrahim in and bowls, clips onto the onside by Malik, picks up a single. He goes to 41, total to 234 for 3.
So yes, if you can get here to the double header, do support that. There's more double headers at Edgbaston soon, but obviously there's a test match going on at the moment, so the Bears are in action at Leicester, as George Garton was saying, on Friday, and then at Durham on Sunday, before they go back to Edgbaston for a double header on Wednesday of next week.
Ibrahim in, bowls to Hain, who plays onto the onside. Good tumbling save there by Rogers. In at, looks suspiciously like Tom Clark actually, but he's got number 42 on his back, so I'm assuming that is Henry Rogers. He's got the pads on under his trousers as well. Sorry, Mike, I interrupted you.
No, it's important, but I believe that there is a campaign as long as along the same lines as County Cricket Day last Sunday.
Yes.
I think that the same people are doing a sort of Women's County Cricket Day version this Sunday. There's a lot of women's games this weekend.
Ibrahim in, bowls punched away both by Hain through the offside, picks up a single. That's Tom Clark, who's patrolling that offside boundary. Gets in the throw. One more to the total, 235 for 3. Hain has got more than 24.
He's 42.
Yes, I don't know why it said 24. I got it the wrong way around. Yeah, he's 42. That was odd.
Yes, I think he's made 24 of this partnership, but yes, he's 42.
A new ball would be available for Sussex now, and I don't think they're taking it. Well, certainly the seamers aren't taking it. Gorinda Sandhu is... Oh, hang on, here comes Ollie Robinson. Down the steps. So I wonder if they are going to take it.
I would just say on that, by the way, although neither of these counties have home women's games on Sunday, which somebody been designated this day, but of course there is one here, as you were just saying, on Saturday.
Yes.
So do support them if you can. The ones at Edgbaston, I appreciate it's Tier 2 here, the Tier 1 Edgbaston, but they've been very, very entertaining. It's well worth supporting it, because you can only grow if people support it. But certainly the standard will lift, and hopefully if Tier 1 expands and takes in more counties, it will lift the collective standard, because that's the whole idea behind it. So do go and watch a game if you can. They are persisting with Carson from the Cromwell Road end, and his first ball is turned into the leg side by Hain very easily for 1. So he is still 43. I don't know whether he scored very many boundaryless 50s. Not very many, I should think. Jeff Boycott scored one for England once, I think, in India. This is turned away in the leg side.
Boundaryless half century.
Boundaryless half century. Malik pushes this away for no run. I'm sure there've been others. In the 81st over. 236 for 3. Carson going round the wicket to Malik, and Malik turns that neatly through mid-wicket and gets another single. And these are all useful scores for a player in his first season at this level. I do note in the sort of lower down the list of other games going on today, there's another England Youth International, the Under-19 International Series, which started here on Friday last week between England and India on this ground. It turned into the leg side, the next one by Hain, and he gets another one out to deep mid-wicket. They had the first one-day international in that series here last week, which India won. Then England won at Northampton in a very close game the other day, in which Thomas Rue got 100. Today they're playing a shortened game by rain, 40 overs again at Northampton, and Rue with another dramatic innings has powered England forward to 268 in 40 overs, and he's got something like 70 odd or 40 odd balls.
Wow.
So he's a player to watch. Back goes Malik and punches this away through extra cover. Crocombe, he's going to pull it in just inside the rope, well fielded, and keep Malik down to 2 runs. So Thomas Rue seems to be a player to watch in every sense, in the long-term sense of a player on the up. He's also the captain and the wicket-keeper of that England under-19 side, and in the short-term sense, he seems to be quite good to watch when he's actually batting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carson bowls. Oh, that one jumps and takes the glove, and Malik is looking at Hudson Prentice at leg slip, and he's out. Hudson Prentice claimed that quite low down, and Carson, changing his line to come round the wicket, takes his first wicket in the innings in his 32nd over, and it just came off the glove as Malik, in fact he removed one hand off the bat, but I think it did hit the other hand, and was well claimed by Hudson Prentice. So Malik caught Hudson Prentice, bowled Carson 44, and Warwickshire 240 for 4. That's a lead of 122.
Yeah, so players all in a huddle as Malik makes his way off. Yes, coming back to Thomas Rue. I was down at Taunton. Well, actually, Sussex have played Somerset twice this season, a win and a defeat. James Rue batted beautifully here, I have to say, just looked majestic. But when I was down at Taunton, they were talking about Thomas Rue, and they were saying, "Oh, I think he's even better." Like, really? Well, but he's clearly a very fine player. The Rue brothers, who I'm sure will be around for many a long day down at Somerset and will score a lot of runs.
They both keep wicket as well, don't they? Well, Thomas obviously he's doing that in this under-19s game.
Yeah.
So, and that series is going on. This is the third one-day international, so it's 1-1 at the moment. The 4th and 5th games are at New Road in Worcester on Saturday and Monday. So
that'll be good games.
Yeah, if you haven't got a ticket for the Test match and look for some cricket around the West Midlands with the Bears on the road, then you could do worse than pop in there, because no doubt India have got some very talented young players as well, I should think. So you might want to give that a look. New Road, I mean, it's always an agreeable thing to spend a sunny Saturday in New Road, frankly. But you can go and watch England under-19s in 50 over games at Worcester against India on Saturday and Monday. And then they've got 2 test matches in that series later this month at Beckenham, at Chelmsford, and their 4-day tests. So those will be good games. And of course, India women are also in England as well at the moment, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
There's plenty of cricket to go and support, not just in the county championship and Blast. So the new batter is Ed Barnard, who is the leading run scorer for Warwickshire in the championship so far this season. 668 runs at 55, including a half century in the first innings of this game. And he's coming out with potentially about half an hour to go before they might decide we've had enough.
Ibrahim comes running in to bowl to Hain, who plays onto the onside, and there is no run. A new ball would be available to take, and I think Sussex have taken. I haven't seen anything up on the scoreboard to indicate that that is the case. As Ibrahim wanders back to his mark.
Not sure how many times he'd have taken the new ball.
Yeah, not many. Runs away from us up the slope here. Bowls to Bard, who plays comfortably through square leg and picks up a single. I always get a little confused as to when the umpires can shake hands. I think it is sort of traditionally in the sort of 10 to 5 for some reason. If there's 15 overs left, isn't there? You probably know better than I do, Mike. I get very confused over
something to do with if you normally declared it'd be 10 minutes between innings, and then you can call it at the start of the last hour. It's something to do with that. And
yeah,
double the number you first thought.
Yeah, and it's all very confusing as to it. Anyway, Ibrahim on what's now a lovely afternoon here at Hove is in and bowls, and defending is Ed Barnard down the onside of the track, and there is no run. Hain got the bad commentary by me. Hain is on 45, Barnard yet to score. Ibrahim wanders back to his mark, just keeping a bit of an eye on the other games around the country, because we know that Yorkshire are always certainly going to win. Yeah, 13 without loss. They need 28 more runs to beat Essex. Very much looks like Hampshire are hanging out for the draw, as in comes Ibrahim and bowls to Barnard, who gets his first run. Just casually flicks the ball back to the square on the leg side. So he's on his way, 242 for 4, the lead 124. Yep, so it looks like it could be a draw. Hampshire 250 for 4 against Worcestershire. Brown 78, Dawson on 46, but it's been a struggle for Hampshire in that game.
The 2 Division 2 games are still going on. There's been a couple of quick wickets in both games.
Yes,
so
there has.
The one at Cardiff is definitely not quite all over.
No.
Because Gloucestershire now 6 wickets down, only 60 runs on, and there's a new ball due in a minute.
Ibrahim in bowls to Hain, who punches down the ground, no run, and I see Kent have lost a couple of wickets at Canterbury as well.
So they're probably still all right. Ben Kellaway, the young batter who he bats and bowls left arm spin. He can bowl spin with either arm. Have you seen him?
Oh yes, I have. Yes, for Glamorgan.
But he got a century in that game, and he's now taken 5 wickets in the second innings. So he's a good young player as well.
Yes, he just break off as Ibrahim is in from the CN and bowls. Forward comes Hain, plays to mid on. There is no run. It's the end of Daniel Ibrahim's over, is it? Yes, it is. The end of his over. He has bowled 3 overs, 0 for 16, 242 for 4. Hain 45. Barnard on 1. The lead 120.
124.
124. Yeah. Yes, down at Neath last year, Sussex played Glamorgan in a 50 over game, and Kellery was bowling left arm round the wicket. Then the next minute, I thought my eyes were deceiving me, and I thought, what's going on? I thought, perhaps he got off injured or something. And
no, he can bowl. Yeah. I don't know how he decides.
No.
Whether he, looks at something on a certain part of the pitch, or
Yes.
licks his finger and holds it up to the wind and says, "Today I am going to bowl
Yes.
off breaks," or "In this over I'm going to bowl slowest arm."
And he bowled a bit of both at each over. So I guess he has to say to the umpire,
Yes.
"Umpire, I'm going to change my action."
Yes,
So he has
it's a nice trick if you can do it.
Yes, he has to remember to ask the umpire as well.
Yes. Saw him doing it in a one-day cup game at Neath a couple of years ago. This is Barnardy stroking the ball from Carson away into the offside. Again, the wind has got up from somewhere.
Yes.
Because what is that? There's something on a wooden plank
Yes, on that,
outside
yeah,
the box, but
twists round.
whatever it is, it's flapping about. So I hope it's nailed to something at the bottom, because it isn't at the top, or not. It isn't not anymore anyway. Barnard goes to turn this into the leg side. It's taken on the pad.
Actually, that's another thing about the One Day Cup. It's a shame that we're not covering the competition this year, because you go to grounds that you wouldn't normally go to. So last year I went to Neath.
Neath's good fun, isn't it, Neath?
I went to Welbeck Colliery.
Oh yes, I've never been there. Round the wicket comes Carson, and it's on the back foot goes Barnard, defends.
I went to York, which I've never been to
I've
before.
been to York.
So they were three really good games.
Yes.
And this year Sussex are playing a game at Arundel. We haven't played there for years.
No, well, Arundel's lovely.
Yeah, so it's a
Yeah, it's nice.
there's some good grounds. So it's a
Yeah.
bit of a shame we won't be at them.
Yeah, do get out and support the One Day Cup if you have the chance in August. It's good competition. This is turned off his pad by Barnard, who has been the undisputed star of the One Day Cup in the last couple of
Yes.
seasons, and he gets a run. I mean, it's a walk, as it were. But he's content with one. In baseball, you actually have a walk, can't you? That's actually a thing, but that counts as a run, even though Barnard perambulated the whole lot. Now Hain is going to break into a trot as he completes a single, turning the ball, going with the spin and pushing it away to mid-wicket, which is basically the way he's been playing throughout this innings. And further burnishes his average. 244 for 4. Slip and short leg weight. Carson looking for a bit of the bite that he found to dismiss Malik, but he doesn't find it there. He draws Barnard forward in defence, and another over has gone past. 244 for 4. 46 to Hain, and 2 to Ed Barnard. And a draw, I think, I don't say will suit both teams, because I'm sure they both set out to win, but it is okay for both teams.
Yes, I mean, it doesn't change the table at all. None of these results will change the table. The only change is going to be at the bottom, where we know that Essex are going to slip into the relegation places, because Yorkshire are going to beat them at York, which is a good win for Yorkshire. Sussex have still got to play Yorkshire twice this season. We go to Scarborough at the end of this month. Then Yorkshire come here in September, as Daniel Ibrahim is on his way in and bowls. Forward comes Hain, plays down the offside of the track, and there is no run through. Actually, Sussex play. Sussex is, well, they got 5 games left.
Who are the 2 Kookaburra games against?
Essex here and Yorkshire away.
Okay.
And then we play Yorkshire at home, Hampshire at home, and Worcestershire away. So actually, Sussex's games are currently all against the bottom 4 sides in the Championship.
Yeah, Warwickshire's 2 are at home to Worcester and away to Essex, who might be the bottom 2 after this round.
Keep him in bowls, and Hain mistimes and plays it straight down the track. There is no run.
Then in September, Warwickshire's still got to go to the Oval and to Nottingham.
Right, yeah, they're both tough.
Yeah, and at home to Essex, the last home game. So they'll play Essex twice.
Yeah, okay. So I mean, actually, Sussex, in terms of fixtures, haven't got it that they. But I think it's a shame they only play Surrey once, because it's a local derby.
Yeah,
and it's good to go to the Oval, and Sussex love going there and seeing if they can turn over Surrey, which I know is difficult, but it's a shame. I think they don't play Surrey. Ibrahim in bowls, clipped away by Hain. He's going to pick up a couple of runs here, which will take him to within 2 of his half century. 247 6 for 4. The lead is 128. Yeah, so I think that is a shame. As I say, so coming here, Essex, Hampshire and Yorkshire, trips away, Yorkshire and Worcester, the last game of the season. Lovely place to finish up the season, but I always think slightly depressing, the last game of the season.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's all done. But anyway, got plenty of cricket to play before then. Ibrahim running away from us in bright sunshine. In and bowls and I thought he'd clip that onto the onside, but actually went through to John Simpson and there was no run. So I think we'll be shaking hands relative to... the time's going up to 4:30, so I need to get ready for my radio update. But I think probably about 20 to 5 or so we'll be shaking hands.
You'll be watching for signals from that point on, won't you? The
Yes.
umpires will be saying, come on, one more.
Yeah. Ibrahim in all bowls, played into the offside by Hain, who picks up his 49th run, 247 for 4. Lead is 129 here on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC WM. Thank you for all your correspondence throughout the match. We've had some interesting chats about all sorts of various things. The best one for me was Mike's one about the cricket ground in the middle of the railway lines. I enjoyed that. And we got quite a lot of interaction. So thank you all for taking the time and the trouble to email us and contact us during the game, as Ibrahim is on his way and bowls, and forward comes Barnard with a very technically correct forward defensive shot that he plays out into the offside, and there is no run. Barnard is 2, Hain is 49, 247 for 4. And as I say, we're just going through the last rights, and I am pleased that Sussex haven't resorted to occasional bowlers, and I hope they don't, because we've had a serious game. It looks to me like it's going to be...
It's not going to be for long if they do.
In fact, it's going to be Finn Hudson-Prentice who's going to bowl for the first time today. Thank you very much to the studio.
Yes, he's been very lightly raced in this
He
game,
has.
hasn't he?
Yes, he has indeed. In fact, there's been a dispute now. Who is it going to be? Hudson-Prentice? Well, I think Ollie Robinson thought maybe he was going to bowl. Not quite sure what's happening here. Is he going to bowl some spin?
I think he might do. Yes, he bowled only 9 overs in the first innings, Hudson-Prentice, so...
Oh no, maybe he's going to bowl. No, I think he's going to bowl. Is he going to? No, he's going to bowl some spin. In fact, Ollie Robinson came on the field, and now he's going off again. So I don't know whether he thought he was going to bowl, and they've decided just... Oh no, he's
maybe the
staying
umpires
on.
have said if you... Oh no,
He's
you've been
staying.
off the field.
Yeah, well he made a signal towards the dressing room to say, I'm coming off. But now it looks like he's staying on. Oh, very odd. Oh no, he is going off now.
So
I don't know what's going on.
Is that... I thought it was Jack Carson over there, actually.
Is it Carson who's wandering off?
I can't quite tell. Anyway, we're going to see Hudson-Prentice bowling off breaks, I assume?
Yes, it looks like I've not ever seen him bowl anything other than... Oh, Kent have lost another wicket, 95 for 5.
That one's not quite dead either.
No, it's not. No, very much so. In comes Hudson-Prentice bowls, cut away by Hain. That's his half century. He goes to 50 and 248 for 4. Yes, we're in the dying embers of this game here, Adam, which is going to end in a draw. Warwickshire have batted throughout the day, 248 for 4. 2 wickets for James Coles, but in truth, Warwickshire have comfortably held on here for the draw. It's going to be a draw as well at the Oval, where Durham are 226 without loss in their second innings, still trailing, by 232. That will be a draw, and probably a draw down at Canterbury, but some late excitement there because Kent have slumped in their second innings to 95 for 5. They still trail Northamptonshire by 61 runs, so still some work for Kent to do at Canterbury, but here at Hove in the sunshine, we're heading for a draw. Hudson-Prentice bowls. Oh, well, he very nearly got through Ed Barnard's defences there. Did he come off the bottom of the bat?
It certainly got through the defence. Well,
yes, it came off the bottom of his bat, I think.
Yeah. Very nearly bowled him.
He did very nearly bowl him, and no one wants.
Inside edge.
Yeah, no one wants to get out in this sort of situation, do they? You know, they battle hard all season for your runs and your average. You know, well, suddenly find you pick up a low score against, with due respect, Finn Hudson-Prentice bowling off breaks. In he comes, bowls, and Barnard makes sure he gets right forward, plays it down the offside of the track. It's good to see whether Finn goes back to Derbyshire for the T20. That's another question for Paul Farbrace, actually.
Going quite shopping list for him.
I have, yeah. I need to make notes because I forget. Hudson-Prentice, he gives that a bit of a tweak, and Barnard just plays into the offside, and there is no run. 252 for 4. 2 half-centuries for Sam Hain, who's got a good little trot at the minute, Mike.
Yeah, well, this is at 6 now in a row. So he's made a half-century in both innings of each of the last 3 games now, including this one.
Hudson-Prentice in, balls played into the offside by Ed Barnard. There is no run. End of the over. The scoreboard is showing 18 overs left to be bowled in the day. We won't get anything like that, and I would imagine after another couple of overs we will be shaking hands on the draw.
Well, they did have to do some proper batting today, Warwickshire.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Because even with an hour taken out, they still could have got into trouble, and even as late as the wicket of Latham at 2:30, there was a little bit of danger, but it's been well and truly stamped out by Sam Hain and Zen Malik, who batted nicely for 44. And Ibrahim is going to have another go up the hill.
Yes, I guess from a Sussex point of view, the big positive would be good return to form for Daniel Hughes, who I thought batted beautifully for his 151. James Coles, yet again in the runs, which was good news. You know, he's looked in terrific form.
2 on the drive at extra cover. Ibrahim bowls. Hain is defending back up the pitch.
So they would be the 2 big positives. I thought Ollie Robinson as well pretty well throughout the game.
I thought he looked a very impressive senior bowler.
Yeah. And Gurinder Sandhu adding to his 5 wickets up at Durham. So, you know, positives around, but the game has rather drifted. Other Sussex players are sort of messing around a little bit, which I don't like to see.
Now, Hain is forward and defending the next one away into the offside.
Yeah, I say messing around. They just sort of, you know, I see Tom Clark and Tom Haynes. They're all sort of getting in a little huddle there in the offside. Oh, look, they're getting in a wall.
Yes, well, I think that maybe there is a bit of a slight leg pulling in response to Warwickshire's. Warwickshire didn't quite go as extreme as that, but I think the point is being made.
Yes.
Well,
yes. I'm not sure that Sam Hain is particularly impressed, but anyway.
No, well, he'd be even less impressed if he blocks his concentration and he gets out, though. He's going to try and hit it deliberately just round them. Hits it out to deep cover for 1 run, and actually runs his run at an angle to run well away from the pitch, as if to go and say, how's that then, lads? So now what they're going to try. Yes, they are larking about a bit now, but we are minutes from the end. Umpire O'Shaughnessy is remaining very tense. The 3 of them just stepping slightly apart. They are in Ed Barnard's eye line. One crept a little bit closer as Ibrahim was coming in, but Barnard wasn't having anything to do with the delivery anyway. But yes, I suspect this is very much in response. Warwickshire were never quite at that point.
No.
But they did have some umbrella fields and take some time about it. So it's been a match, seems from this point to have been played in a pretty good spirit to me.
No, I agree. No, I would agree.
There was a lot of chat between the teams. Both got quite an Australian presence, so there was quite a lot of chat between the teams. I noticed yesterday at the end of the day. Our friend Rocky Choli was in the thick of that. There's 2 runs, no 3 in fact, for Barnard, who glances the ball around his front pad. Gets 3 down to near the big deck chair. The small deck chairs were back yesterday. By
Oh,
the way.
were they?
It was
Okay,
over
yeah.
on the
Yes,
other
yes, yes,
side.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
there's
yes,
small
yeah.
deck chairs over there.
Yeah.
So they were quite well. Even today, there are quite a few people in the small deck chairs.
Yes.
So
I wonder if this will be the last over, actually. Just looking at the clock.
I think we may have another 10 minutes yet.
Right, okay.
But they are well ahead of where the overs need to be. Off goes Ibrahim, and that's well wide of off stump. A no ball, in fact.
Oh dear.
Barnard dabs this into the offside. Ibrahim's going to be finding enough to bowl again. Hain rather gets a single, I should say.
I guess some Sussex are they the positives. I guess there'll be a little bit of concern about the continuing form of Tom Clark, who just hasn't made many runs recently and has struggled a little at number 3, and maybe a good job there's a little break now until the next Championship cricket. The thing with Tom Clark, he brings a lot to the side apart from his batting, but so that might be something that would be something they'll be thinking about for the game against Essex, which comes up in a couple of weeks' time.
Ibrahim sets in again, keeper up to the stumps, and Barnard is defending back up the pitch,
I think
and that is the end of the over.
Is that it?
Although,
John Simpson looks as if he's had enough. Well, I think that is it,
let's have a look. Umpire O'Shaughnessy standing by the stumps.
Yeah, the square leg umpire is coming in, walking at about 1 mile an hour, which suggests we are going to get one more, I think.
But the outcome of the game is already decided. Hain and Barnard are leaning on their bat.
Oh, we are going to get a bit of city bowling now. It's going to be Daniel Hughes. Well, actually, I say a bit of city bowling. I've never seen Daniel Hughes bowl, so I don't know. But perhaps the last over of the game. I do like it when you get an hour at the end of,
Yes, I know.
city bowling. But actually, if we just get one over, then and Daniel Hughes is getting a big round of applause. Never seen him bowl for Sussex before, so we'll see what's going to happen for the amenable Australian who I spoke to the other night. He's so thrilled, Mike, that he's a father for the first time. And
oh yes, I saw him at the end. There was it was him cradling a very, very tiny baby.
6-week-old Lily, and he was absolutely beaming.
Well, that's not. Yes, I saw him.
And he said, actually, it's so nice when you finish your day's cricket, you go home, give a baby a cuddle, and
oh well, that's marvellous. Well, so, that's nice.
Yeah, he's made up his Daniel, and he's an extremely nice man. So anyway, he's going to bowl. First time I've seen him bowl.
This will be his first bowl in first-class cricket.
There we go.
This is his 89th game.
Well, there we are. So this could be, and I'll tell you what, Sam Payne will not want to get out here.
No.
In comes Hughes. What are we going to get? Right arm, over the wicket, he's in and bowls. Oh, that was half decent. That was a bit of medium pace.
There is a fair bit of encouragement for Hughes around the ground.
There is. Yes. I wonder if he's one of these, if he gets a wicket, he might do a lap of honour or something. He's had a terrific few weeks, 100 in this game, and let's see what he can do here. Comes in off about a dozen paces. In and bowls. Hain stretches forward, a ball of good length, and Hain plays that with due respect down the offside of the track, and there is no run. 2:59 for 4.
You do get to a point, I find, in these sort of overs where the bowler is suddenly taking this very seriously.
Yes.
I think it's all been a bit of a laugh and a joke until he comes onto board. Now actually I am doing. I'm doing this properly now.
Yes. Hughes in bowls. Quick delivery taken by Simpson there. I do remember a game many years ago here where Phil Mustard took the gloves off for Durham and bowled, and I have a feeling he got Luke Wright out.
Yes.
And it was the last game of the season.
You do get odd ones, don't you, of people who their only first-class wicket is, a superstar.
Yeah. Hughes in again, bowls. Hain drives to short extra cover, fielded there by Ollie Carter, who is substituting for James Coles, who we are will inquire about his well-being. He went off 3 balls into an over just before tea, so hopefully that's nothing too much to worry about. Yorkshire have beaten Essex by 10 wickets at York. That's a very good win for Yorkshire, important win for Yorkshire that lifts them out of the relegation zone.
Certainly is.
And Essex in a bit of a crisis. Hughes in, well, was turned away by Hain down to deep backward square, fielded out on the boundary edge by, I think that's Tom Clark all the way out there. 260 for 4. So, a real run fest at the Oval, hasn't it been, Crumbs? It's 19 wickets in the whole game. Hughes bowls to Barnard, who pushes down the offside of the track. Now, is that going to be it? I think it is. Yep, there we go. Hats off. Oh. Well, Barnard thinks that's it. Johnson. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's it. The players are all shaking hands. And that is it. So Daniel Hughes, first over in first-class cricket, is just a single. And the game, in the end, rather peters out. I'm saying peters out. There was lots of handshakes.
Not 100% certain it is.
The players thought it was it, didn't they? They all started. Oh yeah.
We're down to 16 overs left on the. But of course they've got there a little bit early. So umpire O'Shaughnessy, I think, has read the regs closer than everybody else.
Oh dear. And this, yeah. I mean, there are rules and regulations. If you have a game of football, you have to play for 90 minutes. That's the rule. So you do understand, but actually,
yeah. And you have to have them because the next week it might be a really tense draw, and you don't want someone saying, "Well, hang on."
Yeah. In that game,
we came off 10 minutes early, and then because you'd never finish otherwise.
So the Worcestershire lads are all shaking hands. Now we've got to go through another over, and it's going to be bowled by, I think, Finn Hudson-Prentice.
Yes.
So I think we can probably say, Mike, there is going to be one more over.
Yeah, I think he might be bowling it slowly enough to make sure that there is.
Yes, probably Daniel Hughes perhaps went a little too quickly.
So there's only Tom Clark and John Simpson, of course, who haven't at some point bowled in this innings.
Yes.
Or Henry Croker, I've been out here fielding all day.
yeah, must be holding him back. I think
I am. Yeah. All right, so Hudson-Prentice then. He's going to see if he can catch Sam Hain out. And he bowls a loopy off break, which Hain plays with due diligence into the leg side. He's made, nevertheless, accumulated 53, and he just made sure that there was any possible ripple of trouble for Warwickshire was smoothed out in that good partnership with Malik. He's forward and meets this with, I think, possibly the pad in front of the bat. Warwickshire lost Yates yesterday. And this morning, Davies it was just after lunch, wasn't it? Davies for 58. Latham for 69 with a ball that did jump out of the footmarks. But not much else has misbehaved. Hudson-Prentice bowls a full toss, which Hain pats back to him. And they're going to bring Crocombe in a bit nearer, just in case. Well, you might as well have them close in. You'd be nearer to the dressing rooms.
I think they're just wasting a bit of time.
Yeah. Also, making sure we get to 10 to 5. I think might be part of it.
Yeah. Well, what's the clock say now? 48.
Yes.
Click over in a mo, I would imagine.
Hudson-Prentice bowls, and she's turned into the leg side, but there isn't a run. They thought about one, but not really feeling up for quick single. Somebody's very excited in the spectators, making some noise.
Sure shows 48 the clock.
Hudson-Prentice bowls, and Hain is forward defending. Yes, Hain would help this enterprise if he bunted one into the deep field for a bit, but I don't think he's not going to fall for that one.
Yeah, 49 it says now.
Yeah. I think O'Shaughnessy is telling you you better stop and do your shoelace up if you don't want to bowl another over.
Yeah.
So he's going to do that.
it's ridiculous.
No, they're going to.
Isn't it really?
It is, but
as you say, rules is rules, and they have to have, because as you say, the next time,
there's other games going on where people are counting every minute because that's what the rules say. I'll tell you what, at Canterbury they are counting the minutes.
They are 6 down, Ken.
So, you know, that's why you have to have these regulations. But anyway, it's all ending in smiles. 2-13 for 5 in the Test match, by the way. So England nipped out a couple there.
Good day for England.
And here goes Hudson Prentice with what assumes is the last ball of the match, and he takes Hain on the pad. How's that for LBW?
And that is it.
And Hudson Prentice looking suitably miffed, and Steve O'Shaughnessy pulls these stumps out. So that did, as it happens, that did actually turn quite a long way, and Sam Hain didn't really play at it. So Hudson Prentice, I think he's fairly sure that should have been given out, but it wasn't, and it's the end of the game. 260 for 4. Warwickshire have done a tidy job today. Sussex made most of the running throughout that draw, but in the end they couldn't bring any pressure to bear on Warwickshire today, and the Bears have secured the draw pretty comfortably.
Indeed they have, and credit to Latham and Davies this morning, who suddenly gave a good platform for Warwickshire, and they never really looked in any real danger of losing this game. We did lose 17 overs earlier on today, a combination of bad light and rain, but I'm not sure that would have affected the result. But a good game of cricket. A shame it's rather petered out on the last day and a bit, because the first 2 days were really very good. Were really very good days cricket. So both sides will probably remain where they are in the table, and the result of 2 matches, the one at Edgbaston and the one at Hove, are that both of those games have ended in draws. Thank you all so much for listening throughout and your messages throughout the match. We now return to T20 action. Sussex go to Canterbury on Friday, and then back here on Saturday for the visit of Hampshire. And you go, Mike, to...
it'll be Leicester on Friday and Durham on Sunday afternoon.
Right, there we are. So we're back to T20, then Championship returns in a couple of weeks' time. It's now a really busy schedule of T20 and Championship cricket until we get to the beginning of August. It just remains me to say a big thank you to Mike Taylor, who don't get to work with Mike nearly enough, and it's always great fun, and always thoroughly enjoy our time together. Thank you for Andrew Rayburn, who was with us on commentary yesterday. To George Garton, who came up as a guest, Mark Robinson, who came up earlier in the week as a guest as well, and provided us some excellent talking points. And thank you, most of you, to you, the listeners, for tuning in. So I think that's it, Mike, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, and to everyone who got in touch, thanks. Please keep getting in touch. Send us emails even when we're not on. It's nice to have them. It's nice to know you're following us, and and remember, there are still other games on the BBC Sport website now. If you want to,
yes, there are.
If you want to hear a good finish, there's still 2 or 3 games. Not all the games in this round have been dead draws, far from it. So there's still a couple going on as well as the Test match. So nip round the website and enjoy them.
Mike, thanks very much indeed. Thank you for listening, everybody, and say back with you on T20 action later in the week. But for now, from a lovely sunny Hove, thank you and good evening. Well, that was all a little dull in the end, wasn't it?